All right, now can you guys hear? Please tell me you can hear. Please? No? Yay, you can hear. I had no idea I didn't hit the live button. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, I am going to unplug this and let me know how the sound is just with the camera mic. Okay, so how is the sound now? Is it the same? Better, worse? One day I'm going to get this opening and it's just going to go boom, 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 boom. Can anybody still hear? You're fine. Okay, good. I'm fine. All right. If it was better before, let me know and I can plug this in. All right. First off, something that I noticed that I had not done on the last few videos, my last few lives. Welcome, everybody. This is Surviving Together. I'm Sharon. I'm your host for today. If anybody wants on, I will try and figure out how to get you on. I'm using StreamYard. I have not put anybody on yet, but I see there's buttons, so we'll try. As you could see, I'm going to wait a few minutes, kind of just let everyone get here. Gypsy, welcome. I don't know if you guys saw my thumbnail, but I'm prepared. I don't know, I'm doing better now than I was when I was prepping for today, but we'll kind of see how things go. Jenna, unless you have like an hour and a half drive, you should be able to get on at least by the time you get home, even if you can't do that. You're on a plane. Where are you? Are you going home, Sandy, or are you going to someplace? That's exciting. I know in our first 5 to 10 minutes, we always seem to get more people. And the information that I want to, the meat of what I want to talk about today, at least anyway, I want to wait until we have a few more people. 20 minutes. Oh, come on. We've never gone less than an hour. You're going to Pennsylvania. Woohoo. Well, I hope you have a very, very safe and normal plane ride. That's always a good thing, isn't it? One of these days, I am going to get my painting up. That was actually a goal for today, but I've seen my son for a grand total of about 5 minutes. He and his friends, I'm going to have to get used to this new setup. He and his friends are working on his car today, and his friend's car, I guess. They're all over the place. And he has organized a cruise for tomorrow, which is just a whole bunch of cars getting together and just driving on the road, just as it sounds. And they're going to Saugatuck. So he's very, very excited because there's supposedly upwards of 100 people have signed up to show up to this thing tomorrow. So if you're in the Saugatuck, Michigan area tomorrow afternoon, you may see a huge line of cars. And if you do, you may blame my child. Uneventful so far. I'm so glad it has been. So we have Jen, we have Gypsy, Sandy. I don't think we have, oh, Kim is going to be, I don't know if you go by Kim or Kimberly. My other's keeper. You said you're going to be lurking. But let me know sometime. I'm not sure if it's, I'm not sure if you use the full or just the partial. I always want to call people by what they want to. Oh, they're going to K-Town. They are. I haven't told him that. It's going to be wonderful for him and his friends to figure that out. I don't know if they will just by driving, but we shall see. Um, I may warn them before they go. I'm not sure who all in the crowd realizes where they're going. So it's a whole bunch of teenage boys in their muscle cars. So yeah, it should be interesting. I was grinning from ear to ear. Thanks for saying that, Jen. Oh, it's a bicoastal. Oh my goodness. Are you going back home from being in California? It sounds like you're going to have a little long plane ride. I don't know who else is going to show up today. That's what you hear. Of course you are. Of course you are. You're my humor when I need it. Yeah, it was a little bit of a rough morning for me, for not just these reasons, kind of compounded by my own stupidity. Isn't that usually the case? But, oh, your husband works in Pennsylvania. You work remote. I work remote too. I know. I wish I had some place like that I could go to. But here's the deal. I promised my son that I would always be home when he has school. So it's only been this year, that his senior year, that I've started to even take like little weekend trips, just on the weekend, Saturday or Friday or Saturday, and come back on Sunday. And maybe during his spring break, I might go for, another 2-3 days, maybe in the middle of the week. I'm not real sure, to a friend's place, but I've been asked to come out to some places and spend a week or so, and I just can't do that right at this juncture. May 10th, he ends school, however, and yeah, my travel schedule opens up immensely then, only as long as I can afford to travel or somebody else is paying for it. But at least my ability to travel then will definitely open up. I'm not stupid. Well, remains to be seen. You haven't heard the whole story about how things went this morning, so we'll leave it at that for right now. But I'll put that one up just because I like it. It makes me feel better. Makes me feel better. Well, I don't know who all we're gonna get, so if I've got to go over this more than one time, Mackinac, I know. Can you believe I've never been? I have lived in Michigan since 1984. A little stint in Kenya and a little stint in Pennsylvania, in Philly. But other than that, I've lived in Michigan, and I've been to the bridge, but I have not been over the bridge to Mackinac Island. I know it's sad. It's very sad. But I know, Jen, you're shocked. Oh, that's right. You left, and we were talking about this at the very end of the live, and you had already skipped over to the boat. You left. That's all right. That's all right. I know it's very shocking. So what I wanted to talk about today was childhood trauma. Now, it's going to be a little interesting, mainly because this can be me talking. This can be you guys, chatting just in the chat. If you have something to say in regards to it, please. Or I can see if I can pop you live on the screen with me. When I first envisioned talking about the effects of trauma, right, I had the effects of childhood trauma as kind of, one subject out of all of these. And it dawned on me very quickly how many videos we're going to have to do in regards to the effects of childhood trauma. I still have it on my list of things to do, of doing actual videos that will just be posted so people can watch those. I know some people don't like sitting through the lives because we may talk about things and then, go off on tangents and things like that. So it's still in my bag of things I'd want to do. I'm getting my schedule kind of down. Things have been changing with work a lot. Things are still changing with work. I don't even know really what I'm going to be doing or who I'm going to be working for next week. So I definitely have to get a little bit better in regards to the channel on some time management skills and fitting some things in. And part of that is because I'm a researcher by heart. I get lost researching like for hours and hours and hours. And then I have to put all that research together, you know, kind of compile it down and say, all right, now I have this mass of stuff. How am I going to talk about it? And one of the areas that I know that we all are very keen and know inside of ourselves is the health effects that childhood trauma has on us throughout our entire life, not just as a child, but throughout our entire adult life. And I was doing some reading on that, and one of the things that came up was this particular study that was done in the mid-1990s, and it is called the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study. It was done between a gentleman at the CDC and somebody with Kaiser Permanente, or is it Permanente or Caliente? Permanente. And what they did is they asked 17,500 people, adults, about their childhood experiences in these different categories that they have. They've got 10 categories altogether. So adverse childhood experiences, ACEs for short. So that's what I'll be referring to it as ACEs. Yes, health, mental and physical. Yeah, absolutely. All of it. Oh, hey, Izzy. Didn't see you there. Yes. I'm not getting into too deep in the weeds of childhood, the effects of childhood trauma this morning or this afternoon in this particular live, and I'll be explaining why. But just trigger warning for anybody, just because Lord only knows what I will be saying, what some other people may come up with in the chat. I've got that in writing on all of my videos, but just particular because of what we might be talking about today. And Jen says, you did a little childhood trauma field trip today. Yes. She sent me some pictures from that, and I'm definitely going to need some prep before I delve into this seriously. It hits home so much for all of us. I know that I've suffered from chronic pain and chronic illnesses my entire adult life, and realizing where some of that could have come from, I don't want to say daunting, but it's just how much work I still have to do, knowing how much work I have done and so much that I've put to bed, and still knowing how I feel inside, things that are going on for me, how much work I still have in front of me. And I try not to look too far down that road because it can be very overwhelming. And I know, at least personally for me, when I start to get overwhelmed, that's when I shut down, and that's when the inertia takes hold, and I will do the bare minimum of what needs to be done to keep my life and my house running. And then that's about it until I can get out of that feeling of being so overwhelmed. And making to-do lists, as I want to do, can almost compound that issue for me, because then I will see that to-do list and it just seems never ending. You know, even if I'm only to say the things that absolutely 100% have to get done tomorrow, and really because of everything that I've been putting off, because I haven't been doing anything, the list ends up this long. So I really try my hardest to keep things in manageable bite-sized pieces for me. And so some of that is going to be how I address this whole issue. And so I think dealing with generally our effects of trauma, dealing with things one by one, our guilt, our shame, the anxiety, kind of dealing with those things, it's a little easier than taking on something like the effects of childhood trauma. Some of the things I do want to talk about, videos that I want to make, the main topics, of course, are physical health, our mental health, our emotional health, the effects on the brain, the effects on how we learn socially as we're growing up, as we have that trauma, as we're dealing with that trauma, how our social interactions, how that can stunt us or color how we are able to maneuver through our lives. And then, of course, that carries over. If you haven't dealt with that right then, somebody's gotten to you and said, oh, wait, you're not handling this properly. Your behavior's not right. We need to intervene. And having a successful intervention and dealing with it at that point, it just continues on into your adult life, right? And our adult interactions, they're just more complex, and it can lead to all kinds of problems. And I know that for me personally, interpersonal relationships have been very difficult at times. And then you add in being a romantic partnership on top of that. And wow, I don't know about you guys, and anybody who's out there who has been lucky enough to, have been with the same person for a long time. I mean, it's never easy, but that you found that, I applaud you, and you're so fortunate. And I know that's going to be out there for me eventually. And I'm just taking the tact that this is what the universe had in mind for me. And these are the things that I had to go through in order to learn the lessons that I needed to learn. I will admit I am incredibly stubborn and hard-headed, and this may be, the universe said, you're going to have to learn the hard way with some of these things. So overall, those are like kind of the four main areas of dealing with the effects of childhood trauma that I want to go through. And then, of course, deep diving into each of those. So I'm looking at least half a dozen videos probably at this point with the different types of things that we want to do. Hi, Donna. How you doing? Hey, Tammy. How are you? We really just started. You have to go deal with an adult. I just kind of dealt with mine, kind of pushed him. Yours is a little more adult than mine, but we'll be here. We'll be here, whether you listen or whether you're not. Somebody said to me, yes, I will. I will post that. I have not read the study itself, but I did listen to, an interview with one of the people who did the study. And I listened to several interviews and talks by people who had read the study and had put it into practice, into their own, either the medical practices, whether that was for health or psychiatry or, whatever it was. It was 30 years ago. And that was one thing that really, really struck me. And I'll tell you why. Okay. I think it was Sandy who said that's all a mess for all of us. Oh, I missed him. I can't find it anymore. But yeah, dealing with all of this, that's why we're here. Oh yeah, here's Sandy. It's a huge mess to address it all. Yeah, it is, and it's a huge mess for us, right? My cat wants up on my lap. So 17,500 middle-class people, middle-class adults, because it's really important for what I want to say in regards to this, that you understand this. These weren't underprivileged children. We weren't in, the downtown area of people who were incredibly poor. And, we're going to say, of course, they had those types of experiences, adverse childhood experiences, right? No, we're talking about people who were from families that were middle class themselves. They came up very, in a very normal type of childhood in regards to the family demographic. All right. 70% of these people were white, 70% or 75%, I think, had a college education. And it's very important that you know that. And because as we were speaking before, we've spoken about trauma before, everybody has some form of trauma, right? It just depends on the type and the depth as to our own traumas. The categories that they set up for these were physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, physical and emotional neglect, and if you had a parent who had mental illness, your parents were separated or divorced, you had a parent who was incarcerated, you had a parent who was dependent on a substance or had a substance abuse problem. Dependency abuse were lumped together there. Oh, and a parent who had mental illness. And I'll tell you, this is an interesting one, at least for me, because neither of my parents have a diagnosis of mental illness, but could there be? There very well could be. And it could be the reason that they react and dealt with things in a particular way. I'm 100% certain that my father has PTSD and has his entire life since he came back from the Vietnam War. All he had to do was listen 5 minutes to my mom about how he was before he left and how he was when he came back. And he was, in his early 20s at that point in time. So, but he comes from a generation that you didn't deal with this, you don't talk about it. You don't go to therapy. That's just not stuff that you do. And then you include being a staunch Marine, in that mix as well. And you have somebody who's lived their entire life who's never really dealt with having PTSD. My mom, I don't know. Could there have been some depression issues growing up? Certainly could have. I don't know. I don't know enough about my mom and how she acted as an adult, because I only have her as the view as her as a mother. I've never spoken to my father or, anybody else to see kind of how did they view her as. So I didn't add up my score in particular for this, but what came out of this study was that they realized just how significant these factors were in determining your lifelong health. And when I say health, we're talking overall, physical, mental, emotional, the whole shebang. If you had a score of 4 or more, so 4 more ACEs. So out of those 10 categories, you could pick 4 and say, yep, 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 and yep. You had a 2.5 times chance of having COPD. You were 4.5 times more likely to develop depression in your lifetime. And keep in mind, this is only for 4. You were 12 times more likely to either try to commit suicide or have suicidal ideations. 12 times for 4. Now put this in a little bit of perspective. Out of those 17,500 people, 11%, or I should say that, 1 in 11 had a score of 6 or more. Now keep in mind that demographic that I talked about. Now think about that underprivileged child and potentially the types of trauma that they deal with. And you can see how pervasive this really is in our society. As we talked in general before, trauma doesn't distinguish between people. Everybody has some level of trauma. But when we're talking about these factors, we're not talking about the father who, disciplined their child every once in a while, or just believed in spanking versus, putting you in a timeout type of thing. We're talking a lot more serious than that. And 10%, over 10% of these people had 6 or more factors. With 6 or more factors, they discovered that you are on average shortening your lifespan by 20 years. 20. Now, this is without dealing with any of this, okay? No intervention. You've just gone your entire life. These are the types of correlations that they were making. And I say to myself, how? Why? What is going on that this trauma affects us so significantly? And really, they said it boils down to 2 categories. One is the harmful negative coping mechanisms we develop, right? So the substance abuse, the drinking, the smoking, the overeating, name it. Okay. So all of those harmful ways that we have of coping with our trauma, that leads to these health issues that we have, that can have later down in life. The other one is chronic, unrelieved stress. And I think we all know about internalized stress and that it's bad for us. But starting this research, I am really feeling it about how bad that it is. And we're not talking about just chronic stress. We're talking about chronic unrelieved stress. So never dealing with it, never getting it out in any sort of way. Just having chronic stress in general negatively affects your health for certain. But then when you compound that by adding the fact that it's unrelieved, unaddressed, not gotten out in any particular manner, why, as a society in the US, why has this not been addressed? This study came out 30 years ago, nearly 30 years ago. They knew this information and have known, and the studies have only gotten better. Our knowledge in regards to this has only gotten more. So why are doctors still treating symptoms? Why is access to mental health care constantly being cut? Why is it on a decent insurance plan you get 6 visits to see a therapist? Or they'll cover 40%. Most therapists, unless you're working on a sliding scale, you're still looking at $60. So say you're going to see that person once a month, that's $240 out of your pocket. And for a lot of people, it's price prohibitive. And one of the lecturers said something very interesting, and it's 100% true. The reason that we aren't doubling down and putting our resources into solving this, into getting early intervention, into dealing with more of the root causes of why we ended up with these health issues in the first place, is because it's not seen as a crisis in general. Why isn't it seen as a crisis? We had the coronavirus, and oh my gosh, look what happened. You had the AIDS epidemic. Even when we had, they were going on about, obesity and substance abuse at one point. Those were, two huge things in the 80s that they were focusing on. Why have we not done the same for mental health, for childhood trauma, for looking at this and how it's affecting us lifelong? Because we don't see it as a crisis. Why don't we see it as a crisis? Because it's so pervasive. Now, you would think it's so pervasive, everyone's dealing with this. We should be on board, right? Well, think about it. Think about how hard it is to deal with your own trauma. When you're talking about these types of issues, what do most people want to do? Bury your head in the sand. Pretend it doesn't exist. It's easier to get a pill to deal with the sickness that you have as a result than it is to go back and look at your trauma. But the problem with that is we are always going to be treating symptoms. And by doing that, the adults are harming the children more because you're not giving them a chance to grow up differently by intervening earlier, by seeing this as a crisis, at least for our children. And so that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a movement of people really hammering this home and saying, we have to address this. Look at what we are doing. If not for yourself, for your kids, for our generation that is going to be taking over for us. What do you want for them? And this is as far as I got with addressing this issue today. Because as I looked at these ACE factors, and I looked at what I have just been saying, I realized how many factors my child had because of me and his father. Oh, the pain. We know we screw our kids up sometimes, but when you put it in this type of context and realizing what could be for him 10, 20, 30 years down the road, he is just entering his adulthood, just on the cusp. And I feel fortunate. I do. I feel fortunate in a way that I know this now. And as much as he may hate it, I'm going to keep pounding home certain things, and we're going to keep dealing with things so that his life can be different. I looked and saw my son had about 5 factors. If 6 gets 20 years knocked off your life, what's 5? 15? Somewhere in between? It's a hard pill to swallow as a parent. So I originally had a lot more planned for this episode, and to go a lot deeper with the physical ailments. But I got this far and I fell apart. If you saw my thumbnail for today, yeah, it was an ugly crying morning. Jen, I will try. I haven't I have no idea how to do that. Invite a guest. Okay. Let's see. Okay. This is telling me is the link. Not sure if that, there we go. So that is the link if you would like to pop in. I've got some different options of different ways to put this. And I'm going to look back at some of your comments real quick. Hi, Anik. How are you? I missed you guys all coming in. Mother's Keeper says, I've worked so hard to stop the intergenerational ills of the family. Yeah. It's a hard thing to do, right? Because we have to recognize it first. And then we have to know how, how do we break that cycle? We talk about breaking the intergenerational cycles of physical abuse and sexual abuse. I parented a lot of what I saw, as we all tend to. You add my mental illness on top of that, and I did not have the tools to give my son some of the things that he needed growing up. The scary thing is I knew it as I was going, but I didn't have the wherewithal. I didn't have the tools to be able to do anything different. I know that it doesn't make it any easier to live with, even if you know it. But if nothing else, hopefully together, we can break the cycles for our children, for our grandchildren, and extend our own lives through dealing with our traumas. And hopefully, getting better coping skills, which I think a lot of us have come a long way doing. When they first started the study, they found that I think it was either 4 or 5 factors. You were 50% more likely to be obese. Negative coping skill. That's actually how the entire study got started. Okay.
Uh-oh, hi.
Hey, Jen, how you doing?
Hi. I am
We made it work. Hey.
Yay, we made it work.
I'm so excited. Woo.
Look at us being all techie.
I know, really.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just saying this whole study was started by because of a woman who walked into this doctor's office and said, "Can you help me?" She was over 400 pounds and she was like 28. And he said, "Yeah, I can help you, no problem. Put you on a weight loss program, get you eating right, get you moving, all these kind of things." And in 52 weeks, a year, she was down to 135. He said there was a point in time several months later, he saw her. And in 3 weeks, she gained 37 pounds. Something he said he didn't even think was physically possible. 3 weeks.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that really forced him to look at, you were doing so well. Why? What happened? What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of hemming and hawing initially from her. I don't know type of thing, before she finally broke down and told him and said, there was an older gentleman at work, a much older gentleman at work who sexually propositioned me. And from the ages of 10 to 21, I was sexually abused by my grandfather. And that was the light bulb moment that started the reason behind this whole study and really getting into dealing with the effects of trauma on ourselves and how it carries into our adulthood. And it was just one of those seminal studies that came out that people drew upon. And I think it was the way they broke it down into these 10 categories that we can all look at and go, probably got one, most of us, at least a good percentage of the population, right? Can point to one of these. If it's not divorce, you have a parent who drank too much, you have a parent who was emotionally neglectful. I mean, it's astounding. It's really astounding to me. And the person who said, you would think that because it's so pervasive that we would be hopped on this and we as a society would be saying, oh my gosh, if almost every one of us has at least something, this is a crisis, right? We shouldn't be cutting mental health. We should be adding to it. But because it is so pervasive and we're dealing with hard subjects, stuff that people don't like to look at, it's much easier just to say, well, I got sick because I was smoking.
Right. Well, I was thinking about some of the stuff that you were talking about in regards to the study and physical health, stuff like that, and how you were talking about, since, okay, I have to take the disco ball down now. I apologize. No disco party right now.
Mother's Keeper said she gained 40 pounds in 2 months just after your wedding. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't know what just happened on my screen. Anyway, I was thinking about that and talking about health in physical health in adulthood because of childhood trauma. Honestly, I, as long as I can remember, have been sickly. Stomach issues, digestive issues,
absolutely,
getting cold, getting bronchitis, like all of my life, I've been having, physical health issues. So I think it's beyond adulthood. I think it starts, the younger your trauma starts, the longer you're going to be affected by it.
100%. Absolutely.
And I had a therapist tell me that, and I've looked this up. This is a study that's mostly true. And Sharon, I think you and I have talked about this directly before, is that people that don't have childhood trauma have a tendency not to have memories before the age of 7, usually not clear memories. My first memory, I was 2, waiting for my dad to come home late at night. And then I also I have 2 other memories when I was 2. Somebody threw a rock through my bedroom window, and the guy who lived in the apartment upstairs was a duplex, and upstairs, downstairs duplex, and he fell off the roof. So those 3 memories from 2 years old, and then that's where my memories start, is 2.
Mine starts at 3, only because when I was 3, I distinctly remember standing next to my dad, he was sitting in a chair and I was standing there, and I had my mom's yardstick, and I was 3 and I was over 3 feet. And that was a huge thing. And that's, I just always remembered that. And my next memories are from when I was 4 and a half ish on. And that's when my abuse started. We moved right after that. I went to 2 different kindergartens. And that was the start of my whole life upheaval. And I didn't have the digestive issues so much. And I don't really know. I don't really have a clear memory of physical issues when I was a child. I know I tried to get some physical issues because that was the only thing that it was the only thing that my parents would respond to, you know, if
Yeah.
you were sick, if you were, I mean, you can only fake a stomach ache, you know, but if you break a bone, if something happens to you, they deal with you, right? You know, this is
Right.
huge. We need to take you to the hospital. We got to take you to the doctor. They have to engage with me.
I just have to
And
tell you that the screen touch-up thing really makes you look good because I can't even see my bruises on my face. I mean, I see that. I see
oh,
them
did you
now.
do that? Yeah, I had that on, but it really, my hair on this side, it was like shimmering, like the disc, like you had the disco ball up against my head.
Oh yeah,
No, we're taking that one off.
yeah. I think I went to like the high because of my super
Yeah,
insecurity,
yeah.
and I was like, oh Lord, no. That's
I don't need to look like I'm,
nobody looks that good.
yeah. Say says
But
it's a
I mean,
huge
this is
issue.
this is just the low. But for some reason, unless I go and see if I go into the light,
Says often crimes against women, and it's a subject that has always been overlooked. Yeah. I mean,
that's true, Sandy.
we
100% true. I mean, that's. Oh, and then you were talking about uh, uh, parents and whether or not we know that our parents have mental issues because they didn't necessarily seek help.
right,
I mean,
right.
I know for a fact, I know for a fact that my dad, um, deals with all kinds of issues. He's got PTSD from being abandoned by his dad, who then went and had 7 more kids with his second wife, and then right, and then being raised by 3 very, very strong and controlling Christian women. And then having a daughter was super awesome for the daughter of the guy who had mommy issues.
Right.
And I know my mom has PTSD from her DV experience, from her relationship.
So Kim says, I have memories from when I was 2. I was terrified of the neighbor next door. Um, and Sandy says she has a memory of being alone in a crib next to an open window in a thunderstorm.
Yeah,
Wow.
even little things like that will really affect you. I have a photograph that's literally everything but I don't know if it was storming or not, but I was standing in my crib crying, looking in another direction than where the picture was taken. And I'm like, what kind of parents take a picture of their kid bawling their eyes out in their crib rather than go and get their kid out of the crib?
Yeah, seriously.
I'm sure a lot of us have the toilet pictures, but I thought the me bawling in my crib one was a little
It's
bit
interesting. Yeah, you wonder
stranger.
what was going through their heads at that point in time, or
Yeah, like this is funny.
did they
No,
take
no,
the picture and then go right to you, or was it not,
maybe they just took the picture and then left
could
they
have.
took the picture and left the room. I don't know.
This goes back to the weight gain issues we were talking about. Izzy says they've always been extreme for you.
Mm,
You lost 15 during pregnancy, gained 40 in the 4th trimester, lost half of that now. Yeah, it can definitely. I gained 60 pounds during my pregnancy, and basically, as I went with we're eating for 2 maximum 2, I ran with it, but it was also for me. I used to love salads, fruits, fruits and vegetables and stuff. I lived on them before, right? And because up until a year before I had my son, I was actively competing. So, not only was I eating healthy, but I was exercising all the time as well. And during my pregnancy, I couldn't stand the smell of hamburger cooking. It just, and to this day, even I like hamburgers, but I can't deal with the smell of it cooking. It just, that grease smell from it, it just drives me absolutely queasy. And salads, fruits, it just sounded horrible. I mean, fruit I could kind of do, but to eat a salad, no, no, no vegetables sounded good. I couldn't even make myself. Now you put a big plate of nachos in front of me, you can shred some lettuce and tomatoes on those, and I would eat that, no problem, right? That's about how I think I got my vegetables. But I wanted to put this up because I wanted to say, Izzy, I wanted to say congratulations. Congratulations for losing that. I carried my baby weight with me for 15 years. I didn't lose an ounce. I really didn't gain much, but I really didn't lose. I maybe the same 5 pounds there, and it wasn't until probably a couple years ago that I finally lost it.
Okay. I need you to. Sorry, I need to train my cat to go sit in a basket while I'm on the computer. Thomas,
Yeah, mine didn't like the fact that I didn't have a big lap, so he kind of he ran out. He ran out.
Can you can't hear the call to prayer, can you?
No.
Okay, good.
That was
one of the
I have
things
memories that start when I was 3 of waiting to hear my dad's truck in the pull in the driveway. I was terrified that he was going to crash because he was drunk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, Tammy.
Hey, Kristen, how are you?
Yeah, hi, Kristen.
Are talking about trauma, childhood trauma to be specific, and how it affects us later on in life. There was a study that is called the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study that was done in the mid-90s. They had 10 different categories, and they asked people questions in regards to their childhood to see how many of these that they had. So 10 categories, you could get a score of up to 10. And
adverse childhood what? I didn't even interrupt.
Adverse childhood experiences.
Oh, okay.
So they call them ACEs for short. So what's your ACE score, basically?
ACEs. Okay.
Yeah, ACEs. Isn't that lovely? Like, it sounds like it's going to be so positive.
It sounds great.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel so good, but it sounds fantastic.
Yeah. It was 2 doctors, one from the CDC and one from Kaiser Permanente, did it together. And so for background for Christy, oh, Tammy, you're back too. So you're in at a perfect time. So just talking about the study that was done about 30 years ago, where it wasn't the first study to be done. It wasn't the first paper to be written on trauma and health effects. But I think because of the way it was organized and the types of things that they discovered, I think it really hit home with the people who were interested. And I say that because a lot of it has fallen on deaf ears. We have to be screaming from the rooftops about getting help in this issue and about breaking our intergenerational cycles of physical, emotional, sexual abuse and neglect. These are areas that unless we deal with them, the kids are going to grow up just like we have with health issues, with mental issues, with emotional issues that they don't understand. And the doctors are going to keep treating the symptoms.
There's no health care. There's only sick care.
Yeah.
And drug care, and as Generation X, I think that being the first generation to have the stones to speak about our feelings and our angst or whatever you want to call it when we were young, but the first generation to really kind of say, no, this is not okay. This is, we do have a responsibility, I think, to the younger generations. Talking to Izzy about this yesterday, I believe. So I believe that we fully have an obligation to the younger generations to let them know that it's okay, and that we're, that we're listening and that it's possible to heal sooner than we are, because we're still in our healing. We may never be done healing. There's some things that can't be healed. You just have to learn how to live your life around it, right? Simple facts, the experiences that have happened. I had a couple of those moments in my field trip today that kind of really, well, the pictures that I sent you
Yeah.
from. So for everybody that knows that
A little
Sharon
triggering
mentioned,
for you, Jen?
yeah, I was, it, I was, I was sick to my stomach. I got that I'm always sick to my stomach, but I got that kind of like sick to my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I'm remembering good memories from this place, from Jason's house and his grandparents' house, and that really bothered me. I think the most triggering thing for me in the entirety of the videos I did, because I wanted it to be one video, for some reason it didn't work that way, and I
Mm-hmm.
had to figure out how to edit it on my phone and then get it onto the laptop. I might just have to plug it in. Actually, now that I think about it, I can just USB it in. The most triggering thing for me was when I went to the little slider joint. That was my favorite sliders. They're so delicious. Called Bates Burgers, and it was my very first job when I was 15. And there was an older guy in his 20s, good looking guy, well dressed, and he came in and he was flirting with me, and I thought that was nice, like,
Yeah, when you're
I
15, somebody older like that, you feel
yeah,
makes you feel
yeah,
like you're an adult, or you're being taken seriously.
yeah, exactly. And then I went at the end of my shift. I went to go have a cigarette before my grandma came and picked me up, because my grandma knew I smoked. I was allowed to smoke, but we didn't smoke in her cars because she was an office manager at a car dealership. So she was always driving demos.
Oh, okay, yeah,
So
yeah.
I went to go outside to have a cigarette. The guy was outside waiting and snatched me and kidnapped me for the weekend and essayed me all weekend, and then made me give him my father's phone number so that he could call him and tell him where he could pick me up,
I'm so sorry,
and
Jen.
then drop me off in a parking lot. So talking, it hurts my head right here. And I got hit on this. Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense, because I got hit on this side.
You've had a couple of big triggers, 2 big triggers in a week.
It's been an interesting 5 days. I will definitely say that. But and I don't. This was not the field trip thing today. Wasn't planned. It was just that my dad called me last night and he was like, "Hey, can you come in the morning and help clean up?" Because we just were so busy last night after the fish fry. I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." So I went and I did that, and I decided when I pulled in, I was like, I'm gonna film. I'm gonna go to Churchill and film the school, talk about spots and things that happened, and I'm gonna go to our old house. And then after I went to the house, I went to the medical office building where that counselor lady's office was, and I filmed there. I almost got that car that was pulling in from the road. I'm in my own little world.
Right.
And then I went to my grandma's house, and then I went to Bates. I went to my grandma's house, then I went to Jason's, and then I knew that I had to get home, because you were gonna go live, and from talking earlier, I wanted to make sure that
I really
we were here,
appreciate it.
that we were together for each other after
Maybe because
our
that there's test
our
online.
difficult early day. Yeah,
So
yeah,
that would be, yeah, I mean, it'd be very interesting if people wanted to take it and, we came back, if we talked about scores, just to kind of see all of us who
yeah.
identify with, being survivors. And
I
we know that
love it.
different abuses come upon that. Um, Dealing with memories, Tammy said she remembers being in a foster home, but she wasn't sure how old she was. But her next text says she's probably between 1 and 4. So yeah, it seems that a lot of us who have had significant trauma in our early childhood have a 5 and under, at least a memory of one or two there.
Well, there's like 10 of them. So which one?
Yeah, there's
I
10
don't
categories total.
No, I mean there's like
Oh,
there's
10,
like
10
I'm
different
trying.
ones
Okay,
today.
I think I'm gonna go to Stop Abuse campaign. It says take your ACE test,
Yeah.
understand your health risk. NPR has one, but I think I'll go to the Stop Abuse Campaign.
Piggybacking on something that Tammy just said, she looked up the test and it's eye-opening. Yeah, I think that this would be really interesting. Next time we come back together to see and to really have a
select your sex. Select your sex. None.
What did you come out? And something Jen had to say, about us being the first generation to really, speak up and say, no, this isn't okay, and not just kind of go along with things. And talking about breaking the cycle as well. What did we say? Education, right? It's the most important thing. So educating our friends, educating our neighbors, educating ourselves as to what we have to deal with. How do we deal with these things? So, and educating our children. And the one thing that I have, I've always, of course, been very, very on it. And my son's probably sick to death of hearing about how you treat women and what to do in case somebody bad touches you. And, I've dealt with that from the time he could even, walk around. And as he became older, and especially as he started driving, because then he'd want to drive everywhere together, right, by himself. And going to the doctor's appointments, he can go in the room by himself, but I still have to be in the building there because he's not 18 yet. And as he started doing that, I was allowing him, and I talked to the doctor afterwards, and we had to have a lot of talks about being your own advocate and about saying, what is wrong? What are your symptoms? Where do you think this came from? And not just saying, oh, my stomach hurts, and being treated for that particular symptom. And we've actually gone to several different doctors because he said he didn't listen to me. He wasn't hearing what I was saying. He was just telling me what he thought and what he was going to do, but he wasn't hearing me. So in regards to dealing with that, with trauma in our lives and dealing with our own health, we have to be our own advocates. We came from, well, I know at least our parents and me too, I think a very large degree. I think Gen X still did, where doctors were doctors. They knew best, right? I really think it didn't come to our generation after where they started to say, wait a minute, you're not always right. You're not always right. And doctors have to be held to, the same standard we hold any other person in any profession. They're not the end all and be all. They're human beings, and they're a product of their schooling and the types of places that they've been and the types of patients they've seen. So I think Jenna's looking at the computer screen, and she's probably looking at this ACE test and going, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Do you guys want to hear in real time what my score is?
I'm guessing it's pretty damn high, knowing what I know from you.
It's a 9. So I'm going to die in like 3 months.
That's if you did nothing, Jen. If you did nothing, we're dealing with it, though.
Okay.
Tammy said this has been just as eye-opening for her.
That was 10 questions.
Test. Yes, Izzy, the ACE test. The test that you can take in regards to the 10 categories that I talked about, they just kind of put them into a more question format from this. And I'm sure that there are sites out there that go through some of the other thing. They said if you have a score of 7 or more, you're 3 times more at risk for lung cancer, but that's because, again, negative coping skills, right?
I have a family history of that anyway.
3.5 times more likely to have ischemic heart disease. And these are numbers from the 1990s. Okay.
Yeah.
So
They need to update
take them somewhat of a grain of salt. You know, I would definitely be interested at looking at some more recent studies, because I'm sure that they've been done to kind of see, you know, what are their numbers now, and also
Yeah.
have like a follow-up study of people who have started to deal with things and people who are
Yeah.
coping with them, and then seeing what is their correlation there. You know, like if you're smoking if you're a consistent smoker and you stop within 24 hours, your risk of heart disease goes down by 50%. 50%.
That's me,
That's
baby.
amazing. That's just
Mhm.
mind-boggling to me.
Mhm.
So you've got to think that if we're getting rid of those negative coping mechanisms and having more positive or at least neutral ones, right? And learning to deal with our stress, those numbers have to improve. And
Yeah.
that's why I'd be very, very fascinated to
Well,
see.
I think that they need to change. Like, yeah, they need to add an after 18 effects thing. And the only one I didn't answer yes to was a parent in prison
Incarceration.
before I was 19.
That was
Before I
your.
was 18.
Sandy says she hit almost every box, and Sandy said so did I. Yeah.
Wasn't it jarring, ladies? Like I found, I mean, obviously you could see it on my face in real time. That was really jarring to me. That was
Janet, how you doing?
Janet.
Oh,
damn it, Janet.
yeah.
I love you.
Janet says she's been diagnosed with complicated multiple traumas and had 2 primary cancers, breast and tongue. I take it that you're in remission for both of them, or have had cured for both of them. I'm hoping that's the case for you. Yeah. And here's a question, Janet. When did you first start dealing with your traumas? How long ago was that? You know, a lot of people who said that they have had these issues and have had these health issues and things. I'm really curious as to, within that journey, when did the self healing, when did you start doing that, to see kind of how it got? Sandy says, I'm glad I quit smoking. Yeah, you know,
same.
It was my first year at the Court of Appeals, and there was a supervisor there who smoked, and he quit, and it was him who was going through all these numbers for me, and was just like, wow. And that's actually before I started smoking, which is kind of like,
So you started in your 20s, Janet. I started going to therapy when I was 11, but I don't think it started really working for me.
Partial tongue removal. I'm hoping that means that they have gotten it all, and that you have not had anything.
It does say in remission
since that.
Right above it.
You started dealing with trauma, and you've been in therapy since your 20s. And I say this because I've been in and out of therapy since I was 13. Mm-hmm. And I put this in quotes because that didn't mean that I was dealing with my trauma. I was dealing with the symptoms and the stresses of my everyday teenage life, or my everyday, adult first married life. I was not dealing with my childhood traumas. I think I was, like I said, I was about 19 or 20 when I first talked to a counselor for the first time when I was in college about my essays. And so I hadn't, and then I kind of just put it in a box from there. I kind of was like, okay, great. I get to be a victim. Somebody's giving me permission to be a victim. These are real incidences. I'm not making this up in my mind. I'm not blowing it out of proportion, I guess is probably a better way of saying it. And I did feel a huge sense of peace from that. And at that point in time, in the middle of college and whatnot, I just kind of put that in a box and shoved it away. And it didn't bring that out for many, many years after that. So I talk about going to therapy, but actually dealing with our traumas as 2 different things. Kristen said she started going when she was 13, but she had a really bad counselor And so it didn't help. Yeah, my counselor when I was 15, he thought mentioned, hey, I saw Rocky Horror the night before last weekend or whatever, trying to be like,
Oh,
I'm
you're so
on
cool.
your level, whatever. And I'm like, no, you're not. I walked out of there and I said to my mom, I go, this ain't gonna work. I said, let's keep on looking. And yeah, it can get frustrating, and then as time goes on and you've got to pay for things yourself, and healthcare has only gone down, down, down in terms of being affordable.
Or you get on state insurance and have to wait months and months and months and months just to see a specialist.
It was 13 or 14 months. My son, we were going to have him tested for ADD. 14 months. And kind of by the time that 14 months was up, we dealt with it in a different way. Pretty soon, he doesn't have ADD, but he has characteristics of it, and certain coping mechanisms for somebody with ADD work as well for him as well. And I think that what I needed to get through to him was, you don't have to have a diagnosis. You don't have to have a named thing to be able to deal with trauma, to be able to deal with the things that you feel negatively affect you, that hold you back in some way, that keep you from dealing with things in the best way possible. He had these feelings of not being able to do certain things, and I'm cognizant of him. I try not to reveal too much that he hasn't already authorized me to reveal. But I think so many of us are just like, it's undiagnosed. I don't have a name for it. So therefore you don't do anything about it, type of thing. And I think we all need to get to the point of, you may not have a name for it, but what are we dealing with? And you can start dealing with the symptoms, and then you can start backtracking as well and dealing with our underlying causes. And that underlying cause isn't going to say, oh, I have stomach issues, therefore, oh, guess what? It's my SA. You're not going to make that type of connection. None of us really are, right? It just is something that we know there's a connection there. Therefore, you need to deal with the trauma.
Right.
And it wasn't until I had one particular counselor, and I had to stop going to therapy just in general from a cost standpoint, but she was the first person who, and I think I still have it shoved in a book somewhere. And she drew this tree, and she said, what you're talking about is all this stuff up here on the tree. Okay. She goes, you're not even talking about your branches yet. You're just talking about hanging fruit that's, this, that, and the other thing that's bothering you in your daily life. She said, but you need to look down here to these roots. And your roots is your childhood. And this is what you need to be dealing with. And that is going to inform you about all that other stuff.
Right.
And I didn't understand what she meant for a long time. I mean, cerebral, I could connect the concept, deal with your childhood shit, right? And that's what she was telling me. But I didn't really see any connection to modern day things, or to what was going on with me. I have since come to realize about the huge abandonment issues that I have. And I'll talk about that in just a second, but I want to get to some of your comments because
got some pretty meaty comments in there that.
Yeah, I think we need to, I want to make sure that we're including everybody and addressing. And guys, I'm still learning too, because I will just go off and yap and yap and yap and yap as well. You think quitting drinking has been huge for you? Absolutely. 100%.
Sure.
Any of our addictions that we quit, whether it's drinking, whether it's drugs, whether it's overeating. For me, it was pot, because that caused inertia for me. And I didn't care. And that's why I went to it in the first place, because it made me feel I didn't care and I didn't have to have all that stuff in my brain. But unfortunately, then I didn't do anything about all that stuff in my brain. And it just, your responsibilities don't go away just because you stick your head in the sand, unfortunately. So it definitely. Say this went to therapy 20 years ago, but it just scratched the surface. Yeah.
I've had a couple of those, Tammy. You're not alone.
I had mine when I was 40. I lost my job, my husband, and my home within 11 days of each other, and moved from one city to another, moved back in with my parents. And yeah, I fell apart for the better part of 10 years, and I'm 51 now. So it was pretty much all my 40s. And that was basically my son's entire formative childhood years. So unfortunately, they went hand in hand. Sandy said, so she started going to therapy and just scratched the surface, but then you went back to Scientology. And of course, that didn't help with the trauma. Yeah.
Well, no, it helped to add to the trauma, though, didn't it?
Yeah. It's something I'm developing right now, dealing with specifically with essays in Scientology, and that goes back to trauma as well. It's a whole entire playlist I'm putting together that I want to publish and push out to everybody in the Scientology and the SBTV world. And it's going to focus on what the cult has done to people who have suffered SA. And you can substitute that for any type of trauma, though, because we're well aware of the physical and emotional traumas that people suffer.
Don't forget the child labor and the TTI also in there.
So what this is going to focus on is individual people's stories, how they were treated, how the way that the cult treats people, how they allow it because of their belief of how one thing's going to fix the other thing, and it doesn't. And it's going to be about how these people made it out. How did they survive this? I don't care what actually happened with your essay. This is not. I was absolutely horrified when I listened to this interview, one of the interviews that Miriam Francis did with Rabbit. And she said when she went on Scientology in the aftermath, the producers pushed her and pushed her and pushed her to reveal details, give us something of what your dad did to you, some details. It wasn't enough just to say, I was abused horribly by my father for 4 years or however long it was that she was at his hand. They had to have that little salaciousness, to kind of grip their viewers and bring them in. That's not what mine's about. I don't care. You suffered, and you suffered a trauma. Now, the only pieces I care about is how old were you? Where were you? What was the reaction? What was the reaction to the perpetrator? These are the types of things that I'm interested. So if anybody knows anybody out there, if anybody themselves have been in Scientology, have suffered abuses, and want to talk to me, please, whether it's speaking on a live or whether it's just speaking to me in general, and I'm going to make a video about it. I have some people who have been willing to come on the show and speak about some of the survivors. So that's in the works for the future. So this is something that I have definitely been working very hard on, and has taken up a lot of my research time, because I think that that's my little help of trying to bring down Scientology. I lost my grandmother way too early because the place that she was with did not believe in modern medical care. And she was taken from me when I was 2, and I never got to know her. So I'm definitely on this bandwagon of taking taking down this cult. So yeah, Tammy, Janet, you're in good company with this nervous breakdown thing. A lot of us, we know it. We've been there, right?
Can I ask Tammy a question really quick about a comment? Tammy said I was sent to a reform school at 15 because I was acting out. Can you tell me what kind of reform school was that run? Was that run by law enforcement, or and did you go to the courts, or is this a possible troubled teen industry program? I'm curious.
Jan just talks about developing IBS, and yeah, exactly. I mean, digestive issues from trauma is, there's such a correlation there, and people, I mean, your digestive system, your nervous system, I mean, all of our systems.
Mary,
of course,
why are you bugging?
And give me a call anytime, and we'll figure something out to talk. Absolutely. And I'm fascinated to talk to you because you were a public Scientologist. And so that situation's going to differ, my understanding at least, a little bit from the people who are actually in the Sea Org, or, on staff or whatnot. So very curious from yours. But Tammy says you were sent to a reform school at 15 because you were acting out. So this person right here, Jen, wants to speak to you.
I would like to talk to you, Tammy.
That is her, if you are willing, because she definitely, that's her channel, is dealing with the troubled teen industry. So between the cracks,
which is also going to focus. I'm gonna have a playlist of videos regarding Scientology's Delphian academies, what they used to call Delphi, but now they've changed it, like most troubled teen industry programs do. They change the names. Like that.
Bugging in just to say hi and support.
Hi, Donna.
That's wonderful. Mary, Donna, all you guys that I haven't spoken to directly. I've been kind of awful about getting to these. Tammy, so you started having flashbacks because you repressed it, and so I didn't get in trouble for bringing it up. Yeah. Okay. Jen really wants to talk to you now.
Yeah.
You were like mirroring her experience. I won't speak for her, but I'm going to. You are just two peas in a pod. Let me tell you.
I didn't talk about it until I
was. You've got support in the people here.
And Tammy, if you go to my channel, or I could actually, you know what, I can just type my email.
And only if you want. We never.
Yeah, and only if you want to. There's no for either one of us. There's no pressure.
We get eager because we've got stories, and we want to talk to people, and it's not necessarily that we would be publishing your stuff, because we would never publish anything without your permission. But just from a heart to heart of, yeah, I get it. I understand what you mean. And that's why my email is in my link in my description, surviving together, SASS@gmail. And you can talk to me about anything. Just, that there's people here who have got your back. There's people here who know what you've been through. And obviously, Tammy, you have got a kindred spirit in Jen, who definitely knows what you've been through.
100%. I don't know why my comments with my email address won't show, but if you click on my channel, it's btwnthacracks@gmail.com. So between the cracks, but it's.
And I'll try and put a link. I need to put a link up to her channel too. And my other's keeper, I need to get a link up to yours. Anybody out there who has a channel, who's dealing with their types of issues, and dealing with trauma or whatnot, mental health, please, I'm more than willing to put your information up here. But Mary says, my daughter had autism, and they're very difficult times. If it wasn't for behavioral therapy in home, I don't know what I would have done. Yeah, it hurts me every time I hear people say, I can't go to therapy because I don't have insurance or somebody won't take me on a sliding scale. Sandy, if we lose you, best for landing and getting to where you need to go from there. Thank you for joining us for the time that you did have.
Yeah, I
Janet,
forgot you're
Janet,
traveling.
I joined late because of my daughter. Janet, are you speaking about Jen's channel? Her channel is Between the Cracks, and I will put a link up below, and it's like a BTWN something or other. So it's not going to look like Between the Cracks, but it'll be those basically initials. But Between the Cracks is hers, and she's going live at 6 today. Yeah, so
Yeah.
she'll be live right after me, so you can join that as well.
Yeah, it was supposed to be yesterday at 3. First of all, I realized that going live in the middle of the day is not going to help with our Aussie friend.
Yeah, yeah. I'm very much contemplating with some of the content that I have, adding a third day and maybe on Sunday to have something that'll work a little bit better for our Aussie people.
And I like when we do
on today. Yeah, I mean,
right.
I can only feel for you. I have never had a close friend who has had a child with autism. My first husband's friends did, but they were in Detroit, Grosse Pointe, and it's so it wasn't a thing for me to deal with. But
Thanks, Mary.
I've heard enough, and I definitely.
Oh, and don't forget that Mary Jones's page is Blessed to Crochet.
Yes,
her channel. I mean, I keep saying page.
I need to get a list of all you, and I'll get this. Mary says, Jen, I sent you a PM.
Perfect.
So you got that.
It's like a military, but the counselor was awesome. I'd still love to chat with you if you're interested, though, Tammy.
And well, at least you had an awesome counselor. That's great.
That's completely.
Yeah. How are you? Are things a little easier at home right now? Like meaning the current moment. Things are calm for you. I hope.
Me too.
I'm not sure who we have from our original crew here. If anybody missed what we were talking about, we started talking about the study that came out in the 90s called the Adverse Childhood Experiences. I blanked for a second. ACEs for short. Yeah. And you can take the test online of the different categories.
I have an announcement to make. I really do feel like now that we're on the screen together, we really are Molly Shannon and Anna Gasteyer and the radio channel.
We were meant to meet, Jen. We were meant to meet. They're just,
no doubt.
Yeah, one of those things.
So just for our community here, I'd like to make an announcement. My other's keeper is going to have Mary Jones and her daughter Christina to discuss autism on March 5th at 7:30 p.m.
Oh.
I believe it's going to probably air on my other's keeper and Blessed to Crochet, but I could be wrong. But definitely to check in with my other's keeper on the 5th.
Yeah, that's for me, because I know that I have so much to learn. And I know so many of you who have said, I have a child who's on the spectrum somewhere. And I don't have a real good grasp of that. I kind of understand it, but I haven't had to deal with it directly. And I also say to you guys, if I ever say anything that's insensitive, please let me know, call me on it. I'm doing it out of ignorance. Just 100% out of ignorance. Kristen's chasing her kiddo. Yeah, what else is new when you have a little one?
All right, I turned off that enhancer. Do I look more normal now? Good. Okay.
You look the same.
I look the same. Well,
Tammy says I'm okay with it, and I can help anyone else. I'll do it. Yeah.
Thanks, Tammy.
Yeah, that's what we're all here for, right? I mean,
It's all about connection.
yep.
Because it's
Realize
not, I mean, while the opposite of addiction is connection, the opposite of division is connection. The
yeah,
opposite of loneliness is connection. I mean, the connection is,
isolation.
yeah, it's literally the freest, healthiest thing that we could do for ourselves. And at the same time, I can tell you, sometimes this little machine right here feels like it weighs 300 pounds, and I don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
So I'm sure at least 4 of you, including
And the thing
this
is,
this
we
one,
don't,
this
I
how I
can,
did this one here.
we could probably take a poll and
Yeah,
everybody is going to agree with you.
yeah.
We've all had those moments where it's just, no, even my best friend, nope, I don't want to talk to anybody.
Hmm.
You just
It's
can't deal. That's
Mhm.
for me, that's my overwhelmingness. That's when I get, and I'm just too, and
You've been
it's
you've
too
been
much.
quiet this week. Just so you know, you've
Oh,
been quiet
Janet,
this week.
thank you. You're just so kind. Just sharing your fantastic, sensitive, and brilliantly smart.
She's not lying.
Thank you so much. You've been disconnected because you're married to an antisocial man. Connection is so important to me. Yeah, when I was married to my son's father, 8 years, he's an alcoholic, and they isolate in general. He was an at-home drinker, so he did not have friends who he went out with. If it was probably family members who were also drinking and doing drugs and things like that. So it wasn't anything that was being brought home, or friends who that we would be with or go out with. And the few times that we did go out with some friends, he drank to such excess it was embarrassing for me, honestly.
Mhm.
And so I went through 8 years of, we never had a date. After that first few times without out with some friends, that was it. So I get that. I totally get that, being with somebody who doesn't want to go out, or you can't be going out with. And I didn't realize how much I missed it until I had it again. Connection.
Mhm.
When I was, and again, I go back to my abandonment issues, which go back to my childhood. My parents were, my dad was very disconnected. My mom was there, and I love her to death. And she gave the best hugs, um, but we weren't as involved, as a family, and B, just as involved parent to child on a daily basis, as I think we could be. But, again, it goes back to where, if you look back to their parents and how they did things, and my mom had older parents. My grandma was 40 when they adopted my mom. So you're in a very different place when you're 40, and parenting, especially in the 50s then too. So then if you were 20. So the experience she got was much different.
Mhm.
And I didn't realize, I had a set of friends when, during my first marriage, it was hockey. And there's this group of us, we all became very close. As soon as I got divorced, that group friendship just, it went away, and it went with my ex. It took me about a year or so, and I built up, with my dojo, with my Taekwondo that I was practicing, and I helped build the school from where it was 800 square feet to a 3,200 square feet place, and was helping run it, from the administrative side and teaching as well. And I just became such an integral part of this, and had just such a wonderful, wonderful time. And as soon as I got married, I had to disconnect from that for various reasons. And so I lost it all over again, and went with a person who was an alcoholic. I didn't know it at the time, and was isolated ever since then. So it just, it, I get that. And I didn't even, oh, that's right. Misha, where are you? Oh my gosh, there you are. You snuck in. You snuck in.
I have a tendency to do that.
Mary
Sorry,
says
Mary, I misread that.
parent of an autistic child. Yeah, I mean, I think the more that we can learn from each other too, because dealing with those sorts of things, we're going to come across all kinds of things in our lives, and it can't hurt, right? Tammy says she's doing all right, except for her current situation with her son is addicted and on the streets. Were you were going to travel, weren't you, to try and find him, I think? So I'm not sure what happened with that, if you actually found him, or I know that being on the streets can definitely be a choice. It was for my ex about 5 years ago. He up and left with his, or I guess it would be about 3.5 years ago, up and left with his wife, who he married, a fellow alcoholic, and they decided to drive south and be homeless if they had to. And then we got them back, and then they decided they went right back down, and they went to Florida to be homeless.
You know, that I'm just going to break into that and say that having been homeless, I don't understand that at all. I've absolutely no understanding for people that are like, oh yeah, no big deal. We'll live out of a car. Oh, okay. Yeah. And then they went to Florida. I can also speak on that because Florida is where I was homeless. I don't mean to get all.
No, I mean, I think the idea was that they would get jobs or whatever, but if they were homeless, they were homeless. You know, it still was a choice, because after they drove south, they ended up in Louisiana. They got carjacked. Long story short, it's a real involved story, but I brought them back, and then they decided to take off and go to Florida. It was a choice at that point in time, again, to go and risk getting jobs and trying, and they were homeless, and the hurricane came through, and his mom brought them back, and they came back, and they were living in the woods. My son and I dropped them off at a gas station and watched them walk into the woods to go be homeless, because they both had warrants out for them, and which they then turned in when it got too cold to live in the woods in Michigan, right?
Okay.
And then they got out, and 3 days later they took off and went to go be in Alabama.
And people that are homeless have a tendency
Rolled back
to
into town
get harassed by the police more often.
3 weeks ago. They've rolled back into town. So that's a to be continued story, because I have no idea what's going to happen now that they're back. Misha, I'm like a ninja. Yes, you snuck right in then. Tammy said, Jen, are you on Facebook?
Yeah, I gave her my name.
I believe she is. I am not. I'm the one who stays off pretty much any other social media.
I only use it for the groups and to post stuff about the TTI, and I know that it annoys my family and friends, but I don't care. I really don't.
Janet, we all think you're wonderfully smart. Just because you are book smart does not mean that you are what I consider intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
I am book smart.
You know how many people that went to Harvard are morons?
But it does not mean that I can maintain healthy relationships.
Right.
It did not mean that I picked up on social cues that I missed when I was growing up because of the trauma. And I found that little snippet that I want to play for you guys, that cartoon thing, when I can figure out how to play stuff on here. But I found it again, and it just, again, blew my mind.
It's under that, just so you know, it's under that present. It's under that present prompt at the bottom of your screen. And then you can choose to share the screen. Yeah.
Okay.
Why are we oh, I thought that said Tommy. I'm like, why are we hugging Tommy? But that says Tammy, so never mind.
They're having fun on their own.
Yeah. Okay, Tammy, I'll check. Ooh, what are you making for dinner, Tammy?
Olivia, I nothing but Grace Flowers good on paper. Yeah, I mean, homeless in Louisiana, that's where Christina was. Yeah, they were there for a hot minute. I think they were in Georgia and then kind of made their way to Louisiana. And I don't know why they thought NOLA would be a good place to be. I don't think they looked up the crime rate before they actually
Uh,
went down.
I mean,
So
I have a friend that moved to. I accepted you, Tammy. By the way,
yeah, I don't.
I have a friend who moved from Detroit to the Ninth Ward. There was a lot of acting work in NOLA at the time after Katrina, and he was beaten nearly to death, and we had to raise a bunch of funds to have a couple friends go down and get him and bring him back home. It was
Yeah,
really it was a terrible experience.
yeah, they had what they had in their tent under the underpass, and that was it because everything else was in the car when he got carjacked. Uh, and in the same trip, on the same trip, see, they left because she had never been out of state, I guess. And so, I mean, she's
Mhm.
got horrible, horrible problems because of her alcoholism, and she's only in her mid 40s. I mean, God only knows how long she's going to live if she keeps drinking at the rate that she's drinking. But she had a 3-year-old, and she left the 3-year-old with her grandma, and the 3-year-old died, fell off a
What?
tractor, and died while they were in Louisiana. Yeah, it just it it's a horror story all the way around, and that's just leg one, and then we've got the other leg. Believe me, you cannot make up my ex-husband's life. It
I can understand that statement.
I got
I've
stories
actually lived that
on
statement.
stories that I have to laugh at now because otherwise I would absolutely cry. um
I think that if the amazing things that I've experienced in my life hadn't happened, I probably wouldn't be sitting here with you because to have had just nothing but misery, I wouldn't have
yeah,
made it.
Donna says to Janet, and it's so true, you can be very intelligent, you have many in your family, but still have holes in your knowledge and caring. Absolutely. You
Mhm.
may be intelligent here, you've got 4 degrees, but what's your emotional intelligence? It sounds like it's pretty close to zero, you
Two
know?
words. I have two words to explain what you just said.
Yes.
Elon Musk.
There you go.
He's a genius, and
Brilliant.
I give him that 100%. He's a genius.
Brilliant man.
That guy is such an emotional idiot. To quote Maggie Estep's poem, "Emotional Idiot," which I've yet to send you. I'm sorry, Sharon. I will send it. I told you I was going to send it to you.
No worries. Yeah.
Oh,
Janet, if you get nothing else out of this, out of being here with us, I hope you get to the point where you can believe that you have value. Just because you don't have 4 degrees, you may not even have your high school diploma. I don't know, and I don't care. We are here for a reason. We're here to support one another, and we all have worth. We all have value. No matter what we've done in our life, no matter where we've been, I think we can just look at some other people and other channels and what they've been through and where they've gone now, what they're doing with their lives.
mhm.
Our past does not have to define us. And that's
Our
something
past
that
is not defined.
I do struggle with. I do. I get stuck in the past a lot. I get stuck in my head, and I have a real hard time with that. That's definitely, yeah. Misha, you are never, ever alone. Ever. You can always reach out to somebody here.
Misha is probably one of the most loving and compassionate people in the world,
I,
and they support so many people, and she needs support herself.
yes. And all of
She
us,
has trouble accepting it. I hope you don't mind me saying this stuff, Misha, but
all of us are on the lifeboat too. So whether it's reaching
yeah,
out to us on the lifeboat and saying, "Hey, I need to talk to you," you could just reach out to us that way and say, "Hey, I need to talk to you," or whatever, or email me, or send me your information, or whatever. And totally willing to talk. Misha, I do have your number now. I need to get a hold of you because I also have some other um, stuff that with your AI thingy. I need you to work your magic, and I think you'll actually. really like
She
this.
is really magical, man.
Yeah,
She is
I think
so
you're gonna
good at that stuff.
love it. Oh, hush, girl, I love you, woman.
I know. Isn't she
That's what she said
adorable?
to you, Jen.
I know. She's adorable.
This is my ex-husband's a genius, but his common sense was non-existent. He was also emotionally, verbally, and spiritually abusive to make himself feel better, mostly to me. Yeah. It, I always think of it in terms of, people think, can we use our entire brains? And there's a debate whether we use 10% or 20%, or do we use our entire brains, or what. But I think of like savants. They are so incredible in one area or two,
Mm-hmm.
but they are totally stunted in other ways.
Man, I wish I was like Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man. I wouldn't have to worry about money ever.
Well, that's true. But, there was this other aspect of stuff he just did not have.
I mean, I would not want to wear Kmart underwear because they went out of business.
Universe, it's like we all balance out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you can be extremely intelligent and again have emotional intelligence of zero or zero common sense. You have to develop those things. It's like what we're given this stuff, and it kind of balances out what we have and we're really good at and what we're not good at, and it's that stuff that we've got to make better ourselves. I still have Kmart undies.
Did they have holes in them? I mean, what?
I don't know where you're coming up with that, but were they blue eye special? There you go. It doesn't matter what's written on your pages. It's how you fill up the rest. I love that song, Unwritten.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah. That really, really, I put it in one of my playlists.
That's when I tried that. That was 2004. I think 2004, 2005, right around there when that album came out. But I really like her. And that song though, Natasha Bedingfield. That oh nice. I can't wait to see that either. I might break down and stop trying to do everything myself and collaborate with Misha too. But
I know that I can't, mainly because of my job.
Yeah.
That was always okay. Blue light special. Here we go.
Right.
Yeah. This was the joke in my family was that
I heard it.
And I were so different. My brother was a quiet introvert, do whatever the parents say, happy to be an only child, even though he had a sister. There's abandonment issue number one, right? And so we were just so different. People didn't believe we were related, and that was the thing is, if you got bad, we picked you up on a blue light special. That's where we came from.
Literally, Misha, and on our end here in StreamYard, you're highlighted in blue.
I have not heard your song.
I have. It's beautiful.
I have not. I've missed a lot this week. I worked 12 and a half hours yesterday, guys. And I've been working today already. We're supposed to have production.
I've been feeling very abandoned by you. I have abandonment issues. Oh wait, no, that's right. I didn't want to talk this week either. And if anybody wonders why I haven't been in the morning lives lately, that's because I'm up late flirting with Will Good on Streets LA.
Have you heard what his followers, what his fan women,
the Good girls?
The Good girls? Yes, yes. You have to be number one.
They're actually there's some really, really cool ones. And he was on Natalie Webster's channel yesterday during the day.
Yeah,
you have to go. You have to watch that because not only is it an amazing interview, and let me say, Natalie is an amazing interviewer.
She is. Oh yeah, her and Rabbit
but
both.
Will, and you know, I don't have to say too much, but a wink and a smile to you, Sharon. But Will had sunglasses like Ray-Ban aviators on the whole time. Like, oh, I'm Norman Reedus, and you go ahead and just.
That's a signature look.
I mean, he doesn't do it at night, but yeah, during the I mean, Reedus does. He does it all the time.
We would all love to, Misha. We would all love to hear your song.
Yeah, gosh, isn't he, Janet? That I am. I thought it was limerence, but I'm not suffering limerence. It's mutual. It's weird. For anyone who doesn't know what limerence is a perceived feeling of love for somebody that you don't know, like a celebrity or just a content creator or whatever. Like all the people that are like, I love a Tommy. Tommy's so hot. And if anybody's in here, I'm not making fun of you. I just, that's how it sounds in my head.
Right. Yeah.
Because I see Tommy as like he's my brother, except we're the same age. So when I hear like, oh, Tommy's so hot, I hear it, oh, Tommy's so hot.
That's
Like kind of the way that Tommy hears it about Johnny. Like, oh, Johnny's so, because I'll tell you guys the truth. If I was forced to pick a Scoville brother, it would be Tommy.
That's so sad that he can't get over to Australia.
He'll get there.
I had somebody who was that. I knew that he had somebody who he was with or would be with, but I didn't realize how like that they would get married the moment they saw each other, type of thing. You know,
100%. Yeah, they're madly in love with each other. Yeah. I think it's beautiful.
Just,
he'll get there. It's gonna happen.
Oh yeah,
and I am gonna make that man have me house sit his house in Arizona while they're in Australia. He thinks
you're gonna need help. You're gonna need help with that.
I know. You know how many people? I mean, you're on board, but you know how many people have been like, "Hey, I can clean," and it was really funny. All the women.
Yeah, whatever you need, we'll handle it.
Just anybody who knows Johnny's not going to be there.
We'll get all the fan mail. We'll pick it up from the place of wherever it gets delivered. We'll pick it up all up. We'll organize it. We'll catalog it for him.
I told him. I said, you need to chase summer. So in the winter time, I would watch. Yeah, I would watch Squirrel too. As long as my kids got along with her. I'm like, you need to chase summer. So in the winter, you have to be in Australia. And then in the summer, you be in Arizona. Because I'm not living in Arizona in the summer because it's like living in an oven. And I'm not interested in that.
My company that I work for, the main one that I've worked for about 7 years now, we have an office in Scottsdale, Phoenix.
Yeah.
So, fairly close. So
that's the fancy part of town.
I did have Misha. Can we plan on maybe you if you're going to be around on Wednesday night for our live, maybe hearing your song then? That would be wonderful.
One thing I know for sure is she will not show her face.
So either a week from today or Wednesday, if you're willing to play the song for everybody on our live, I would absolutely love that. Janice says, I would so love to watch Squirrel. Yeah, we'd have to make sure Tommy was kicked out and Mama Scoville to have a chance at it, I think.
I just accidentally offended somebody in that.
Well, then you just have to bring your cats with you. Of
course, I'm going to bring my cats with me. I'm sorry, Tony, if I insulted you about my statement about Elon Musk. I apologize if it offended you.
Oh, I had no idea he is.
I knew that.
Oh, yeah. I just knew he was a genius.
He absolutely is a genius, for sure. I mean, I give him that. I give him that 100%.
Here's what I'll say, and you hate me if you want. I mean, I think he is, emotionally flawed. You emotionally has a deficit, whatever. To me, it's more stating an observation, a fact of what is, not putting a negative connotation to it.
It wasn't. I wasn't saying it as an insult. I was just using somebody, the first person that came to mind when I think of genius, as not being emotionally
kind of
available.
You've got one and then you don't have the other. Whatever the reason for that is, whether it's because you just didn't get it and weren't parented also to build that up, or if it's because of you're autistic and because of that reason, or the savants. I don't know where they fit on the. I don't know what.
I have to relearn the spectrum now that everything is in the spectrum. Like you don't say Asperger's anymore because it's just a level of the spectrum. And I'm sure if I took a test, I'm on the spectrum
all
too.
on
It
the
wouldn't
spectrum. It's just some of us are more, middle to this way, and some of us are more middle to that way.
Mhm.
Because I look at it, how long did it take us to really accept that there was a sexuality, you know, uh,
Us or society in general? Because me, I didn't care
gay
my
on
whole life.
this end and 100% sexual on or heterosexual on this end, and everybody falls somewhere in between there, whether you're on the
Yeah.
ends or whether you're
Yeah.
just in a little bit, whether you're in the middle, whatever. Everybody's on the spectrum. You don't have to put somebody in one category, two categories, whatever. We're just all. And I think that that's true emotionally. I think that's true intelligence wise. Any of those major characteristics that we have, there's
I think that I would consider myself now, I've been thinking about that. Is, I have a lot of younger people in my life, and they're all different um, um, pronouns, um, and I've realized something, like, because I had a
closer to
huge
your mic. Bring your mic
what?
closer.
Oh. I'm so worried about my hair. I'm not paying attention to my microphone. I need to stop looking at myself on camera. It would make everything a lot easier. That's the one thing that I think I get hung up most. But anyway, so the lyrics are all there. Where? It's not finished, but the lyrics are all there. They're going to, they're going to put them in 15.
Most ones dealing with autism have difficulty socially. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at this as the yin and the yang. I often wondered, one time I went through this whole thing as to whether or not I was on the spectrum. And this was before I kind of accepted yes, we're all on the spectrum. Where do we fit on that one? And you know what? You may have overlapping spectrums, the emotional spectrum, the intelligence spectrum, however, I'm not sure what category the autism one would fit under, but sexuality, it's all this kind of stuff. Because I have difficulty, and it wasn't until I was an adult that I actually really realized that I was an idiot in some social situations. I did not get those social cues. So
I can't use the term that I used to use for myself in regards to my emotional stuntedness, but let's just say an emotional idiot. But like, really, I'm still I'm a lot better, but I'm still an emotional idiot. So I don't trust my judgment in dating. I'm not gonna go on a dating app and like pick guys, because I'm gonna find that one crazy addict that's just gonna try to complete. I know. It's like gonna complete.
Who has been on dating apps for the past year? Last March, I started. Okay, we'll do a whole show.
We've had the best conversations about this,
right? But
yeah,
it's been an experience. But I'll tell you, almost to a one, everyone I have been called strange, quirky, different, unique. I mean, you name it. But then they go, but in a good way. Meaning they don't dislike me, but I'm just a little somehow.
Well, it's so funny that you said that, because when I lived in Los Angeles, and if I've said this to you before, Sharon, I'm sorry. When I lived in Los Angeles, people would always say this one thing to me. And LA is like its own planet. It is. But I really enjoyed living there. I worked in event management. Had a great time. I did all the award shows, a bunch of stuff, whatever. I'm in the Guinness Book of Records, by the way, for a marketing stunt we did for the animated movie Megamind. But that's not my point. I just bragged on myself, by the way.
There you go. We'll get ding, 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 ding. I'll have to get
People would always look at me and they'd go, "You're so real." And I'd look at them, because you know I'm funny. Right. Everybody here knows I'm funny. I look at them and I go, "What? Like I'm fat or ugly? Wait, what?" And they're like, "No, not about your appearance. You're just like you're not. You don't have an agenda. You're just a person, like a real person." I'm like, yup. I never knew how to. I don't know. I never. Aw.
I heard you talking about this, and I thought it was the most wonderful thing when she got her autism dog. It was the bridge between your world. The dog started sleeping with her too, right? And it was
That's
just,
right.
and I started down this path. I was doing a whole thing on pets. I was reading then. I was in YouTube and I was researching and how much the pet, because when my son was about 12, we got cats as emotional support for him, because that's kind of when his dad started going off the rails and leaving town. And they help so much. And then when I heard about that, I was like, wow, wow, what a difference that can make. That is just, and I had no idea that you could have an autism service dog. That's incredible.
That makes
I
sense to
love that
me.
you fought for, I love that you fought for her getting it in the school. Absolutely, 100%. Whoever told you, like, not whatever, total dick. Total, that's what I kept saying to the screen as you were explaining this, okay? I just was like, could not deal. Oh, Misha says, thanks. It's not finished, but the lyrics are all there. They're going to put it in that movie, Our Voices Cry, that's based on Christina's story.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Well, at least maybe
Yeah.
share the lyrics with us or something, you know? You could put them in a email to me if you wanted, and I could post it up, or you could have like an AI voice read them, or your voice read them. You come on and you don't have to show your face. We would love it if you did, because we would love your face no matter what it looks like. But
And yeah, I'm sure that right now you're the only one that knows the melody, right?
yeah,
And by the way, love you too, Misha. I see that. I see
cadence
you.
of the poem.
You have to go. She's got to go to she's got to go to needing a meeting. She's got to swing a wrench.
Oh, okay, got it. Cheers.
Love you. I didn't even notice that we were past it. Oh,
Yeah,
2 hours, not bad.
we call it weird and we embrace these parts. You know, it took me a while to get to that point, and I think it was when I heard it over and over and over again. You know, the other thing I heard for the first 6 dates, seriously, because they were really first dates. They
Mm,
never got beyond that. But almost the first thing out of their mouths were, "You look so much better in person."
wow.
Um, Thank
These guys got game, huh?
Um, but then you kind of wonder, you're like, okay, well, how bad did I look before?
Why did you agree to meet up with me if you
I am
thought I
not
looked like a
photogenic.
pig?
Hammer does not love me.
Me either.
It's just one of those things, and it's been my entire life, and that was one of the hardest things growing up as a teenager and a young person. That I would. I'm glad I grew up before phones, before smartphones, because
Girl.
I just, they don't
Oh,
love
yeah.
me. I would not be taking selfies. I would not be taking pictures with my friends. I would not, yeah, it just would not happen.
Mm-mm.
So,
And I just like to say what I already put in the chat, but I'm a proud weirdo right here. Very
absolutely.
proud weirdo.
Yes. Jen said she's a proud weirdo.
Proud weirdo.
Janet says, Sharon, you should say you look worse.
Oh, Sandy, are you landed?
That has been true with a few. I'm back. Oh, you must be. Yay. We have been harping on Misha. She had to go be a wrench, need a meeting, but her song, she said, is just about done. The lyrics are done, but the song itself is not completed. But we definitely want her to come on and play the song, or at least read the lyrics to her song. And anybody, please. I know that this is a channel about connection and, for sexual assault survivors, and that's kind of where we started, right? But
yes, there's way too many beige people driving their burgundy vehicles.
yes, weird people.
That's what I call them. That's what Izzy is, my child. I just want you to know that is my child right there. I've had many conversations with her, and we are so connected. And it's so funny that she calls people beige too. That's hilarious. Well, I'm glad that you landed safely, Sandy. We've been waiting to hear that.
Yes, absolutely. And yes, Misha, well, she's not here, but everybody can't wait to hear the song. And I think it's absolutely wonder. Yes, Weird People Unite. I should make a list of all of the
Proud.
adjectives that I've been called.
Yeah.
It's definitely
You know what? Maybe I'll do that too, but it's going to be a really long list.
I was thinking the ones where they go in a good way or whatever.
Do you know how many of my friends told me just when I was younger, like teenagers in my 20s, when after we've been friends a while, they'd be like, I thought you were such a bitch when I met you. You know? And because I was really angry and I always looked like this, and this was very, like I told you, I could put a quarter in that thing.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm trying not to do that with mine.
I actually, mine is like fading.
Sleep.
Wait, what deserves? Oh, Proud Weirdos Unite.
T-shirt. Yes, I can't
Surviving,
wait.
surviving together on the front. And it says Proud Weirdos Unite on the back.
Yes, I think I have to be able to monetize to be able to do merch.
Mm-hmm.
So
we'll get there.
Absolutely. You know,
you and I are running neck and neck in followers too, by the way.
We're almost up to 100. So, and
I hit 100 and then I lost 3, so I'm at 97 now.
Well, it's probably because of YouTube.
I know, because I get unsubbed from but what's funny is like some of like the tiny homes and the other stuff that I do on YouTube, I never get unsubscribed from that, but even Aaron's page is getting unsubbed now. So it seems to be across our SP into connection into trauma circle.
Scientology.
I wonder if they own a part of it's like the worst ASMR word that you could ever use. Hey, let's see if I can make it sound good. Nope, it still sounds terrible.
Still awful. Still
yeah.
I was saying I have not been unsubbed, but my notifications have changed from all to like personalized. Mm-hmm. Nothing's personalized, so I'm not getting any notifications. Mm-hmm. So I had to check on that. So I tell people, even look, and if you see you're subscribed, still look and make sure you're where you want to be. But
right.
Yeah, I've got so many ideas for some merch. It'd be absolutely great. Yes, Proud Weirdos. We will definitely. We're all
trying to decide. Now you got me thinking about it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I certainly want to have something that says "Surviving Together, Never Alone." I mean, that's just got to be a piece on a shirt or something. But definitely will. I'm loving our weirdo-ness.
Oh, look at that! That's great advice.
Janice says she has a bunch of. Oh, you can still sell merch, just not from the YouTube. So you have a link to wherever. I've heard of there's different places that do, I don't know, green space, or I can't think of it. There's different.
The only thing I can think of is Etsy. The only thing that I know.
There's, I think like Simon Whistler before he used to use a place that went to, and I just pick in a bunch of different YouTubers, and I think we'll find the connections. But you're right. I didn't ever thought about that we could do.
By the way, I also have I have a friend who is a promotional product savant. Let's just call her a savant. She has the huge hookup for great clothing, like this company, they do everything, but like really great quality clothing for merch. So
Jenna has a bunch of ideas, and her career is professional writing, so she wants a T-shirt that says, "Does anal retentive have a hyphen?" I would wear that proudly. If there was ever a type A, I'm the type A. Janet,
she just mentioned this in a conversation the other day.
My resume's done. It just needs to sound better. It needs to be pretty. as someone
Put
who
it through Chat
life,
GBT.
you would think that I'd be able to do this, but I can't. And it's stuck in a format that's like half done, and I can't get it undone. And I copy it to something else, and it turns all weird and whatever that, for even just a blank Word document, it goes all weird. So yeah, I'm desperate. I need to get this resume out. There is actually a job, believe it or not, there's a job looking at civil cases of survivors bringing their sexual assault cases. And it's
What?
about looking at the cases and screening the cases and eventually possibly talking with the survivors and doing. And so they're like, if you have experience in sexual assault, that would be a positive. I'm like, me. But
Right?
but I can't send the resume that I have now. It's just absolutely horrid. Oh. Janet, email me. Here's
What?
the contact for you, okay?
The
Email.
beauty of connection.
I have it on my computer right now. I actually have it pulled up. I had an email all set to go to these people, and then I realized that it was not. I don't know what happened to one that I had that was kind of decent, but this is where it takes the village. I know where my deficiencies are. I know where I can do, and I just I absolutely hate with that.
I have to do an imitation of someone real quick. That's the connection. Eh? Eh?
Got that going on. I had only one dream last night.
You didn't hit anybody, did you?
I did this self-guided thing. It was a different thing. It was about having peaceful dreams or whatever. And essentially it was just opening yourself up and then just feeling different words, like the color green or, just things that were totally neutral. That's what you were kind of bringing into yourself, or imagine your favorite happy place type of thing and bring that into yourself or whatever. But I was so happy. Hey,
hippie. There's our hippie.
You've been in the background, hippie? I can't believe it. Oh, you count up to real time. Oh, good. So you're aware of this.
Oh, do we sound funny in double time?
Yeah, we had something that actually that we were, I did start somewhere. We weren't just yabbering all the whole time, but that is something I'm going to build on, by the way. And hippie, if you did get the piece of, we would love it if everyone would take one of the ACE tests and just to kind of know and compare, and it just shows you how similar we are, and everything that we're dealing with, and that we can deal with together here, because even though our traumas are different, you may have had childhood traumas, you may have only had adult traumas, we're all still in the same boat, because trauma doesn't have
intended.
The SA?
Pun intended.
Boat. Did I say that?
Boat.
Yes. We're not a boat. We need to, we're all in the same, we'll come up with something better.
Yes, something.
Cafe. Hippie, you're anxious about it. You know what? Here's what I'll say. All right. And this is what I want everybody to get from this. All right. Jen already took it and said she's a 9. All right. And somebody else, I think 2 other people on the boat said that they were 9s or 8 or 9s or whatever. You know what that means? It means that you are incredibly strong. You have made it through this long. You've made it to the point that you are. So despite everything that you had to overcome, despite all of the crap that was thrown at you, here's where you are. And we're here to make it better. We're here to make each other better and explore our traumas. That's how I look at my goal as to this channel, is no matter where the conversation ends up going, I would like to start it with something and give you guys some sort of idea, connection, dealing with our traumas. How are they affecting our bodies? Some information that we can all use. And then we talk about it. And, the most wonderful things come out of this. and people talk about their experiences and they add things to this, and it just makes it so rich of a conversation as we talk. So, Hippie, it's up to you as to whether or not you want to take the test. It's 10 questions. Basically, you're just looking at it and saying, yeah, 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 or no. If you have a lot, just shows how strong you are. You're strong regardless. But
that I think that's a really good thing about like jumping into doing a YouTube channel, which honestly I never in my life thought that I would do, showing my face to people on purpose. No, but that's how I can feel good about my strength, because I'll tell you, it's exhausting. Oh, but you're so strong. Yeah, I am so strong. And I'm so tired of being Atlas carrying the world on my shoulders.
yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, it's
Absolutely.
exhausting. It's
Sandy says
absolutely
it's
exhausting.
incredible how much we have in common, and she's a 7.
True.
It is. I mean, trauma begets trauma, okay? And to some extent, as we've been talking about how trauma affects us, how trauma affects our bodies, we all are of a fairly similar age. I mean, I'd say within 25 years of each other. So we've had enough life experience where these things have traveled with us, and none of us have dealt with all of them. None of us have dealt with them perfectly. And it's a connection train in the same wagon. Yeah, we're getting there.
I mean, let's see. Tommy's got the boat. Johnny has the bus.
We're surviving together, so it's surviving. We need it's something.
It's not a bandwagon, though.
No.
People aren't allowed to just. Well, I mean, I guess they're allowed to jump
get a
on
thesaurus out or something, and we'll just kind of go through that list and go. Love you. We love you too. We absolutely do.
Yes,
and, that's what we're here for each other.
By the way, Hippie, thanks for checking on me earlier. I appreciate you.
Here you go. Now, when people tell me you're so strong, I say thanks. It's all the trauma gets the point across.
You're so brilliant. You're really a brilliant 100%. Young woman.
100%.
And
and being strong doesn't mean that you have to carry the weight of the world. It can mean just that you're strong, meaning you've gotten to this point. Just that internal fortitude that has gotten you here. And you may not feel like you do. Hell, I don't feel like I've been strong for the last 10 years,
Right.
Up until that point, I was doing pretty good, generally speaking. I hadn't been dealing with a whole lot of trauma, mind you. And it all came crashing down. And when I had that nervous breakdown, I mean, everything just, came out, and all that trauma from the past, just that box blew up, and everything then was on display. And I had no idea how to deal with it because there was just so much shit. And I spent the next 10 years trying to piece it, all out. And it probably isn't up until the last, year and a half or so that some of it's begun to fall into place a little bit. And yeah, a lot of it is having connection back in my life and having people who, talk to you and get you. And, there's something to be said for sisterhood, for friendship, for, no matter whether it's, male or female. I hope that we get a male audience at some point. It would be wonderful. I tell people, you don't have to have suffered a sexual assault to be on here.
Right.
But I am going to do an entire episode on male who are assaulted, because it does happen,
so
and it's
prevalent.
not just in childhood. And more people need to know about it and realize it, and hopefully those people can, find it within themselves to get some help for something that is not talked about a whole lot and is not dealt with, and is even a bigger stigma than it is for us as women.
Why I consider Terry Crews to be such a hero, really. I think it'd be the best word to use for him, because you've got this big, strong, bulky guy that can, make his make his pecs do the thing, you know.
Who
And
plays who plays the flute and piccolo?
who plays the flute and piccolo, who also played the president in Idiocracy. We never thought that movie would come true. But I wish Terry Crews was president. But for that man to stand up and say that one of the most powerful agents in Hollywood, you know, SA'd him in a public place, I was aghast. And I not disgusted. I was like, I see you. 'Cause, you know,
Yeah,
he,
he got
he,
the
he
balls
was the
to
first
do that.
male. He was the first male, or at least heterosexual male that I can think of that came out during the Me Too movement, right?
Oh yeah,
And I was just like, man, you are so incredible. And he's still here, and that guy is not. I mean,
yeah,
he's alive, but he's not a big
right.
deal,
He's not,
you know.
he's not
I
perpetrating.
mean, and I just think Terry Crews is such an incredibly
I do. I have
brave
a
and
lot of
strong
respect
man.
for him. I really do. You know, because he's from Detroit, right? Or from Flint.
He's from Flint.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to claim him, but he's from Flint. So Steve gets to claim him.
Well, at least he's Michigan,
He is Michigan and proud,
right?
proud Michigan.
There you go. Absolutely.
Mm.
Izzy says, you're a recovering people pleaser. Turns out underneath that doormat was a heck of a lot of sass. See? And there's another reason why the end of Surviving Together is SASS. It was, I was trying to just pick some letters that people would remember, you know, sexual assault, survivor support, or, you know, something like that. But then it came out SASS, and I'm like, oh, that's perfect.
It is perfect.
Because we all got
we're gonna do something with sass and sassiness.
Yeah,
we got to.
Since it's in the thing. Yeah, definitely. Proud weirdos with sass.
Or the sassy weirdos.
Brilliant. Janet loves it. I love it. Recovering people pleaser. Yes. You know, I have a little bit of that issue, but I wanted to go back to something you said, Jen, about people originally, you know, maybe thinking badly of you or thinking you were a bitch or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
This was me, like growing up, like elementary school and all this kind of stuff. I came across to other people as very know-it-all, I'm above you type of thing. I didn't mean to. It's just my intelligence I felt was the only thing I had to offer.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
were you also shy? Were you shy too?
I was to a degree. I mean, if you engaged in me, absolutely not. But right. I moved so much. I did not know how to make friends anymore because they did all look like the enemy. And even people who tried to befriend me, I actively pushed away. You know?
And the reason I ask is
I couldn't believe it. They actually liked me. It was always because there were those people who I had one person. She said, "I'll be friends with you outside of school."
Kids are the best.
Now what? Yeah, exactly. Now what does that do for you? You know, and it's just like
makes me want to punch her in her.
Because I didn't have any other friends. You know, it was in Iowa. Again, worst 3 years of my life. We're just, you know, commit that to memory because anytime I mention Iowa, it's just I wish the whole time would just explode.
But then you wouldn't be here being the person that you are, living the life that you live, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. A lot of story time from Iowa. But we definitely need to do some things. We've got so many talented people.
We do. I mean, it's ridiculous. You know, it's a blessing. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. You know,
every person that shares their speciality, I'm like,
that you want to offer up to anybody, you know, I am more than welcome or more than happy to, you know, put together a list or something of people. If this is what they do, you know, if you want help, if, you know, who knows, maybe that'll end up being your side business. You know, you're going to get something from that will create something out of nothing. Who knows? Guys, this can be anything that we want it to be. And I'm willing to help anybody that, you know, I possibly can. And people need to know that they don't need to watch me in order to subscribe. I need to get to 1,000 guys. Both of us, we need to get to 1,000. You don't have to watch us or even be interested. Just hit that button. Hit the
No,
subscribe button. Hit the like button. Got to start saying that, right?
people that still think I'm a bitch can go ahead and subscribe. I'm not going to mind.
Yeah, yeah, actually, but they did. They would just think that I was a bitch, or I was just, I knew it all, and it didn't come across very well. But intelligence was the only thing I had to offer, and I didn't even realize that until I was an adult, that that's what was happening.
Right.
It
Right.
just,
Because mine was holding people away because I didn't want them to hurt me.
yeah.
So I always had that. I'd like to think that I am the originator of the RBF, the resting. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the reason I asked you about if you were shy is because my mom was always shy, and she came off to people as really uppity and stuck up and like above people, and it wasn't. She was just too scared to.
Right.
She
Quiet.
was just too scared to talk.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to shut up, and not that I
If
don't
you,
still struggle with that.
again, if you engaged me, and I actually thought you liked me for me, no, you could not get me to shut up. I mean,
Right,
obviously, I have a YouTube channel now, and you can't get me to shut up. But
right,
I didn't believe that people actually, after a while, probably by the time I was nine, well, that was fourth, fifth, and sixth grade, I did not believe that people were liking me or wanting to spend time with me because they actually liked me. So when
right.
I moved here to Michigan, which was my next move, when people tried to befriend me, I was kind of, because I didn't think that they were actually liking me, or they were going to
Hmm.
like me just to be able to make fun of me later.
Right.
So that was a very big internal struggle in terms of being able to take the risk that somebody did like me for me.
Hmm.
And it's really been a special thing, I think, now that this type of connection, it feels true, each and every one of you. And I know that you're here because we have stuff in common. You're here because you don't mind my voice. Um, and it's, for me, I feel so blessed to have all of you here and to be going through these struggles. I said on my very first video, I was going to go through a journey with you because I'm nowhere near to complete. Tommy runs the lifeboat, and he comes from not an era of superiority, but just an era of, he knows so much about all the drugs and about all the things. And I'll tell you, I don't know all the things about trauma.
I wouldn't want to go through all the things it would. I wouldn't want to go through all the things it would take to know all the things about drugs in prison, honey.
But I mean,
I'm happy with the knowledge that I have.
I haven't read everything yet. I haven't, I'm trying, and I'm trying to do some other things. And that's why I'll be going through this, and I'm going to stumble, and I'm going to have days where I just feel like crap. And, we lift each other up, and I love that. Janet says she feels very blessed, too. And thank you, Janet. And
I don't know what you're thanking me for, but okay.
I felt that too, especially girls can be put up by other girls for smart. Definitely.
I'm a firm believer, more than likely because of my trauma with girls and women. I'm very much one of those strong women raise each other up.
Mm-hmm.
You try the best that I can to embrace confidence in things that I'm good at. I mean, it's hard for me to even say I am an artist without like cringing.
Amazing artist. You have to add that.
By the way, you only cried once.
You couldn't tell because of these glasses. I teared up a couple other times. I almost lost it there. I know I was pretty impressed with myself, but we kind of got off on another tangent. I think if we continued on that, I absolutely would have lost her. If my kid had walked in, I would have, totally. Absolutely.
I do have a tendency to lighten things up a little bit.
Janet wants to hear about your art. I don't think she knew that you were an artist.
Oh goodness.
Well,
Where do
you
I
think,
start with?
I'm just going to say that, yeah, um, one of the most important things for me is being able to make other people feel good. And I
Mhm.
think part of that may be a people pleaser thing. And I just didn't, that I don't want to make other people feel bad. So a lot of times I will take on the negative myself in a
Mhm.
relationship or something, so that they don't feel bad, even if they're in the wrong.
Mhm.
That's really something that I've got to work on. Um, that was part of my angst this morning. Um,
That's so funny that you
but
said that. I got lectured by my dad about that today.
oh, jeez,
You
yeah.
got to start. You got to start looking out for you. Oh wait, let's see. What did Mary say?
And it says it's painful when you keep playing those tapes in your head saying nobody wants to be your friend and take the time to get to know you. The blessings that I'm getting now is priceless. Absolutely, 100%. And I'll tell you this. Um, nothing hit it. I'm just going to put this one up, hippies, because it's smaller. I can get my face again. Um, Nothing hit it home more than when I started dating, because really, what are most dating sites? Hookups, things. So it was always, you're always constantly interviewing people and going, are they interested in me,
Mhm.
or are they just interested in me? You know, what
Are
do
they
they?
interested in me or are they interested in the V?
Mhm, pretty much.
Mhm.
So it really drove it home to me how much, when I started getting the connections here, how much that meant to me.
Mhm.
And I went off the rails for a little while when I first started dating, and yeah, I needed that confidence boost. I needed to be able to feel like I was something. Dating for the first time, really dating for the first time at 50 at that point in time,
Yeah.
and it just it has become, whenever somebody starts talking to me, I do. Are you? What's your goal here? I don't want
Mhm.
somebody to say, I want a serious relationship. No,
Right.
just, if they can talk to me, and if the first few conversations to me are about something other than sex,
Mhm.
then you may be worth my time. If that's the
Right.
first topic that comes up out of your mouth, I'm kind of over that now.
I would kind of honestly just rather that they lead with that so that I can make my decision from there. Right? Like, okay, so you just want to bang it out. So do I feel no next? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? Like,
I would say the wrong.
we can just go ahead and say,
I'm just
okay,
I'm
thank
over
you.
that. I don't,
No, I get it.
yeah, they're kind of, they're a swipe
I'm
this way.
not. I'm not into hookup culture. I had my time, um, but I mean, I will. I will say this, and I'll say it as non vulgar as I can. But I refuse to accept that the last time I had my pipes cleaned cannot be the last time that it ever happens.
Right.
It can't. It can't. I've got to at least do that one more time.
When you're Jen, when you are ready, and this goes for each of us. I mean, I'm not sure exactly how many people are in a relationship with some people. And if some of you guys are married, and some of you have relationships, and some of you don't. And Janet says, at Bless, please turn off that tape. Yeah, do, because you've got people here,
Mhm.
and we want to know you,
And
and we
some of
want
us are louder than your tapes.
to, yeah, believe me.
She knows we talk on the phone.
Oh, okay. Good, good. See, you would not have that
Hmm.
if people weren't interested in you. If you can connect on the internet, and then you also connect on the phone, to me, that's the point that says, I'm interested in you. I want to talk to you. Because you could keep doing this,
Hmm.
you were just,
Hmm.
surface, or even, yeah, I like you or whatever. But
Right.
when you connect voice wise, that to me tells me that that person really wants to connect with you, and really wants to be in your life somehow, other than just what we do we do here. Bless us. That
Okay,
was
Sandy. All right, Sandy. I'll stop hitting on you. I get it. You're married.
Sandy says I'm married.
But whatever. You're beautiful today.
Izzy said, I've actually flipped my lid. Let me live out the rest of my days in a cottage in the wood with a wood stove and a garden, unbothered and useless to anyone but me and my girl.
Okay, but you have to stay in touch. You better stay in touch with
That
us.
doesn't sound nice. Oh, absolutely. No,
Sounds
absolutely.
great, but you can't shake us now.
No, we would just come visit.
Oh,
You just have to
absolutely.
have a guest room, and just put up with it.
In the warm season.
I just
Considering
want
that
someone
you
to pay
live
for
in,
a cottage on the beach for me. Can I
you
get
want
that?
you can you know.
I haven't been able to.
Well, you haven't been applying yourself lately.
I need some uber rich people is what I need.
Do I have to send you the most obvious Fleetwood Mac song in the world?
With
I
Wi-Fi, of
need
course.
a
Of course,
sugar daddy.
but not
What?
lose connection totally. Absolutely not.
No.
Glad that's your happy
With
place.
Wi-Fi, of course.
On the beach, so we've got different locales, and
Yeah.
just kind of all rotate. You feel like you guys want to visit the beach, you and your girl, come on out.
And I'll explain my stance on this, Izzy. I've never known it's really hard to say out loud. I have never known a real romantic love. And I would like to feel that. I think that I deserve it. And I'm not looking, and obviously, since I'm allergic to dating sites. Mainly, Sharon knows this, but I'll tell the rest of you. Mainly because I'm mortified of running into people on those sites that I know that have wanted to date me in the past, and I have to like reject them again. And it doesn't sound like a fun thing. And then the rest of the guys, the sweet, unattractive guys that I can't help that I'm not attracted to them. I just end up feel sorry for them, like I just get really sad. I'm like, those guys deserve a woman too, but
I know, I
it's
know.
not me.
Yeah, it's just not
And
going
it's
to.
not like I think I'm better than anybody, but and that's the other thing about online dating that I'm not a fan of is that false sense of intimacy. And I think that that's another thing that translates into what's happening with YouTube and live streaming and chatting like it used to be with message boards. You get this false sense of intimacy with people. I don't think it's happening in there are people that have the fault, but not everybody has the false sense of intimacy in our community of connection. But
Hey, Sandy, we'll talk to you in a little bit.
Oh, okay.
She's going up it again. She must have just been at a layover.
Oh, okay. Get home safe, woman.
Yep, absolutely.
You get that false sense of intimacy if you're texting or talking on the phone too long, right? Like I would feel I would need to maybe have one or two conversations with somebody and have that be my cutoff before we meet. Because it would be awkward for me, if I'm like, I mean, you've talked to me plenty. Like I'd say that within a couple of conversations, you got a pretty good idea about me, right? And me, you. So yeah, I'd rather just meet somebody in person at that point than feel attached and then have them be like, no, man, I'm just trying to hit that.
Well, here's the deal: is I always have my first meet at some place I'm comfortable with. There's a local bar that's and if you don't drink, there's a coffee shop or whatever, and that's always it. It's a meet. That's it. Don't expect anything else. It's just a meet.
You gotta highlight that.
Met your husband on Craigslist?
Wow.
Sorry.
I caught my ex-boyfriend looking for eggplants to eat on Craigslist while he was traveling. Yes, that's a euphemism.
Yeah. Oh, I got that one. Thank
I'm
you.
just trying not to be dirty.
I've never been snowshoeing, Izzy. I want to be I've gone cross-country skiing, which I do love. Downhill skiing, I am. Don't ever put me on downhill skis again.
Love it.
But yeah, I would definitely want to do snowshoeing. Ice fishing, unless you have a fire in the shack where we're ice fishing.
And Wi-Fi.
I'm out. Sorry.
If I don't
I,
have if I don't have heat and somewhere to lay down, I'm not ice fishing.
I'm perpetually cold. And I know Sandy said she'd visit the beach in the winter, but my hands and my feet are always cold. I'm so winter and I don't get along very, very much. So
I miss the
80-degree
beach.
weather is perfect. I can feel cold in 80-degree weather, believe it or not. It's
I don't like it when people say the word beach around me in the winter. It's just not fair. I don't live in Florida anymore. I don't live in California anymore.
I know.
I miss the beach. I miss the ocean. I miss touching the rest of the world with my feet.
I almost don't want to put my picture up because it reminds me of that. It's literally the dock. I mean, it's the picture is so perfect of what it actually was that it reminds me so much of I want to be there. And it's
Yeah.
yeah. But it is, and it's true because I got off online dating for a while and I don't know why I got back on. I got a notification or something, and that's how I
Mhm.
ended up speaking to the
Well, wasn't it from that guy who it had been like months or something since you talked to him and then he contacted you out of nowhere?
could have been. I don't know which one I'm talking about, but yeah, it could have been.
It's
We'll just
not that many
yeah,
people.
we'll just
It's
not
not as
sure what
bad as it sounds.
specifics, but the best things always happen when I'm not looking for it.
Oh,
Totally.
same.
So, I would need to make sure to not be on my apps, not saying I'm not dating. I mean, really, I haven't been on a date in months. But I've still been, on the dating sites a little bit. So I need to totally cut that out. And once I have, then maybe something will fall in my lap because it always happens that way.
There's a really crazy documentary about this dude that went on Plenty of Fish and got it's called Lover Stalker Killer. I think it's on Netflix. It's insane. I think it's 3 parts. I pretty much figured out the twist like right away, but it's
Weird.
I'm getting I'm getting creaky. That's funny. Okay, you guys have a great time with your
Your
snow
winter.
zen.
Jen and I will be at the beach.
We're gonna be down at the beach, okay?
If you feel you need to just, kind of join us for a day or two, you can, and we'll join you for a day or two. That'll be fine.
I mean, for a couple. Listen, I'll jump in. I'll do an ice bath. Okay, I
Yeah,
heard it's really good for you.
I'll do a polar bear thing on on New Year's. I do that once, jump in.
One
Dennis says you
time
grew up on
with a
ski.
bunch of
You love
well, it
skiing.
was
Oh, am I getting
Florida.
freaky? Yeah, that does happen. Um, Kim says, I can downhill, but not cross country or snowshoeing. I fall over every time I stand. See, that's me with downhill. I don't ask me why I can cross country, but snowshoe, I think I would fall down unless I had smaller snowshoes.
I mean, I imagine that I would be very sweaty at the end of snowshoeing.
You are at cross country skiing. I tell you, that is a mother of
Yeah,
a workout.
it is.
Unbelievable.
And
There's
downhill too can get you
the
really
machines
sweaty. It
for
just
this.
depends.
Yeah.
I mean, because it just depends on your skill and comfort level. Like
He says
I love
he's down for
skiing.
snorkeling or sailing anytime. Okay, well, let's see. I incorporate all of that. When I say beach, I just mean I scuba dive. Okay, so I include all of that.
And I'm a kayaker, so.
Yeah.
But
See,
I'll go water skiing. I'll
I
do
have no
that.
sense of balance. See, water
I'm not big on sailing because sailboats make me sick.
kayaks. I can do sailboats now. No, I used to, but I'm
Oh,
totally cool on that. See,
actually,
water
yeah,
ski.
you're right. I
Because
have
you
been on one
ski,
since
Izzy.
I've been.
Because you ski, you've got this thing.
Mm-hmm.
They call themselves the Selkies. I love this. My best friend lives in a beach near Victoria, British Columbia, and goes swimming with some ladies 3 days a week. They call themselves the Selkies. I know Selkies are mythical ocean changelings, and they have this
Oh,
skin that they take off. And if you take their skin while they have it off, then they're stuck in that state permanently.
oh,
Yeah, like they come to land and they can take their thing off and be human. And if you take their
oh.
skin, then they're
Can I do that? That sounds like fun.
Oh, Izzy says you would love the kayaks, the rivers by her for kayaking.
I would love that because I need a new favorite place. Well, I mean, I do love to kayak around Mackinac Island, but if anybody knew how rough the waters were, they'd think I was crazy for doing it. That's why Sharon's nodding her head because that's where the two main Great Lakes, Michigan and Huron, meet with the Straits of Mackinac. So you have a three-way like crash of water coming together, and it's very rocky. But
Izzy would love mid and upper Michigan. Not,
oh,
not talking
100%.
UP, but just, of the lower
Mhm.
peninsula, like
Absolutely.
Tennessee area, and then
Yep.
you would love it.
Oh, and you mentioned earlier about going over the bridge to go to Mackinac Island. You don't have to. You can go to Mackinac City. You can only get to the island via ferry. So you can either go from Mackinac City, which is like just before the top of the lower,
Right,
or
right.
you can cross the bridge, which is always it's a time. Oh, Janet's been to Mackinac Island. Shut it. Really?
Oh my God, and I have never. Oh, listen. My cousin's husband builds sea kayaks on Vancouver
I
Island.
love Vancouver Island, by the
See,
way.
I have been
Damn, I love
kayaking a
that
couple of
place.
times, but again, it was like in this safe glass lagoon that because I have a horrible sense of balance. I used to when I was doing taekwondo for a really long time, and actually got into tai chi, and I was practicing for about 9 months, and there became a point where it was like all of a sudden my balance was just went from being to I got that feeling, that root of and but as soon as I stopped, I lost it again. I couldn't even operate my son's hoverboard. I'm pathetic.
Um. Oh, it probably would be best for you to start with a double kayak then to get your bearings on the water, and to definitely do like river kayaking where
Oh
it's
yeah.
very
And
very
we have a
calm.
lot of nice rivers for here. Janet's
Mm-hmm.
from Ontario, so yeah, that makes sense that you'd be able to get over. You're
Oh,
moving.
you're moving all the way. Okay, but you have to meet me before October because I'm like I can see Canada from my bedroom.
Yeah, yeah. You just, Janet, you just kind of have to make a trip that goes like this, over.
Hmm.
So
Sorry, I'm not sorry.
yeah, exactly. Just,
You can take the car ferry
as you,
from Holland, Michigan to Wisconsin, and then just cut
isn't
back
it
up.
like 4 days or something?
No, it's not 4 days to cross Lake
That
Michigan.
ferry goes so slow.
The car ferry does. Wait till we get you on the Mackinac Island ferry. Those things are called super jets. They're fast. The catamaran's the best one though. I
That's
love their
good.
catamaran.
You're from Ontario, but you live in Alberta. Oh, you were just in Waterloo. See, now I've been to Waterloo.
Waterloo.
I've been there.
I love ABBA.
When in October you're going? October's my birthday, guys. So You're moving just after my birthday.
Oh, you're visiting
Jen, what month's your birthday in?
June.
June.
I am a my birthday is the last day of spring. It's the second longest day of the year, and it is a Gemini Cancer cusp. So
Ah.
I'm all kinds of wild. Oh, so we're all going to go to Janet?
Yeah,
Okay.
so we're all going to Janet's
All right.
next summer.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love BC.
It's no
such a
joke. It's on the beach.
beautiful.
We believe you. We're there. This is what we're saying.
Yeah, we're not questioning
Summer?
it. We're telling you that we're coming to visit.
Yeah, August maybe.
You don't
Two
even
guest-
need two guest rooms. We could
It
share a
doesn't
room.
matter.
I
You
don't
can
care.
share one if you have to.
We
It's
don't care. We
cool.
don't care.
Yeah,
No,
we're very secure in our sexuality.
absolutely.
So wonderful. That would be absolutely. There's just nothing better listening to the ocean at night.
Oh,
The
when I get really lonely for it. I got to tell you, when I get really lonely for the beach, I find that that thing on YouTube that's very dark beach with
Yeah.
the waves, and I'm just
Hmm.
like, I close my eyes and I'm back in New Smyrna Beach, and I'm just like,
Yep.
man, I wish he would just leave that town so I could go back to the beach. I just, it's too small of a town. I know I'd run into
Okay,
Jason.
this means something obviously to Janet, but my other keeps my cousins own the Harbor Cats baseball team.
It
I'm
must be
assuming that
some
that's over in British Columbia.
AAA or something.
Um, Otherwise, I don't think it would make sense.
Is that a minor league Canadian baseball team?
Yeah, it's sounding like it. I'm surprised he owns a baseball team and not a hockey team. I am a hockey nut, guys. So all of my
Same.
Canadian friends,
It's a
I get
Michigan thing. We are honorary Canadian. We
yes.
also grew up with oh my head CBC. God. Well, I did anyways. I don't know if you grew up with CBC.
I know
Canada.
I grew up with nothing. I grew up with books. Is what I did.
Oh well, I had a
That was
grandma
when I
who
wanted my
liked
mom read
everything.
books.
I mean I grew up with books too, but there's a lot of TV watching just because you know.
No, my brother would my dad got it in the evenings and on the weekends. My brother would have it for his shows. My mom sometimes watched it. I could only have it when it kind of everybody agreed or whatever. I had no time. No, I was in. It was books mainly. I didn't.
Yeah.
And we didn't do things together, And unfortunately, my son grew up the same way. I don't haven't taken him out places and done things, and you know. Janet was born in the U.S.
Born in the USA.
Okay.
Sorry.
But you moved to Canada at age 10. You're Canadian. Definitely Canadian. They're a lower professional league. Oops, I was going this way.
Yeah, I'm checking it out. I'm trying to see if they're connected to any national league teams.
Yes, Jenna moved up in the world. She moved to Canada.
Literally moving up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Except, I hate to be redundant, but I do live north of Canada.
Parts of it.
Well, right now.
Yeah.
I'm north of Windsor. Because
Yes.
it's like a little hook.
You guys agree you want to host a weekend at the beach? Yeah, exactly. As soon as you get there, we just we need to fund the flight from Detroit to Vancouver.
Yeah, because it's not safe to hitchhike.
Yeah, no.
And we got it. Sharon, do you have an enhanced driver's license, or do you need to get a passport?
No, I think you have to now when you get your new ones. I think
I think they all are now at Michigan anyways, and border state.
So I would have to look, but I think it is.
Oh, you have one of your daughters lives in Windsor? Nice.
Oh my
Minnesota.
God. It's from Jen.
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah, I mean she's like totally right there.
Yeah, I'm in downtown Detroit, so I'm very close to your daughter.
How's the weather up there? Down there. Yeah, it's crazy on how some things in the U.S. you don't think of it as being north of Canada because Canada's north, right? But look at Maine. Maine's all the way up here, and how much of Canada is it actually north of? I mean, it's incredible.
It's funny. It's a thing that people in Michigan say for some weird reason is we're gonna go down to Florida, or we're gonna go up to Florida. I don't know why. I don't know why they say that, but they'll say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go up to Florida."
I think it's just kind of everything's an up. It's
Well, it's especially in Michigan.
You're just kind of like, okay. I will give you guys the short version of my life. I was born in North Carolina. Actually, I lived there for 6 months. I was born at the military base in Cherry Point. I moved to Rochester, New York. And I lived in 2 different houses in Rochester, New York. And then we moved to Iowa for, so it was 3 years in each house in New York. And then 3 years in Iowa. And then we moved to Michigan and lived in Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo. That's where I kind of split my time from. So I've lived in Michigan the longest, but otherwise, up until the time I was 13, I moved every 3 years.
Right now, I have 100 subscribers,
Oh, that's awesome.
and I'm supposed to be starting my live in 2 minutes and 16 seconds.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I've already rescheduled it twice.
I'm looking at my counter. Oh my gosh.
I'm
Ju-
2
I-
hours, 54 minutes.
So I'm in the west side of Michigan. I'm an hour from Lake Michigan. So great place to come in the summertime. We can head over to the lake. I have the better lake. Jen's got the,
She
yeah,
is here.
yeah,
I am here.
yeah.
It's
She's
so
got one
easy
lake
to
and
be in
I've got
Michigan.
the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Michigan.
She's got the better beaches.
I got the see.
Here,
I
here,
know.
let me do it. Let me do it right.
Yeah, yeah, this is.
There. Yeah. You do. We do it a little different.
You gotta curve it.
Well, that's why I have the thumb.
Yeah, so because like
Oh
right
wait, I
in the
shouldn't
middle
attach
is
them.
Lansing, right? So Lansing.
Oh, by the way, this is something that my friends and I always used to do. It's like a burn, like like they make you look at. It's stupid.
Oh, okay.
Musicians are stupid.
I told you were going with me on my first tattoo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have
Yeah.
it. I have it. I have it even drawn out. I've had it for years and years and years. I just have to go.
It's time.
Yeah.
Because I've got to get some more ink because it's another huge life change. So
I
every
will
time
show
I
it
have a
off to
huge,
all of you guys when I get it. I just have to make sure I don't show my ass to everybody. But yeah, 'cause
well,
my low back.
Janet says there's only a few of us here. That's because a bunch of people left to go to needing a meeting, and we just kept on rambling.
Yep.
I don't. It says I have one person.
So Jen can get her live going.
Yeah, I should probably.
Should probably make an appearance at your live.
Yeah, I cannot reschedule a third time. I wouldn't feel. Oh, thank you, Janet. Well, we can do it. Maybe we'll do like a monthly or a bi-weekly show or something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we had talked before about doing things together, and it just so happened we didn't schedule this to be a two thing. It was just Jen was hopping on to talk about some things, and then we just, once she comes, it's hard to get rid of her.
Yes, that is true on every aspect of
why
that
would
statement.
you want to, right? Why would you want to? Because we love her so much.
I mean, I am pretty awesome, right?
You adore us together on screen. Great. I'm so happy. We like being on screen together.
Oh, are we the new ship? Because unfortunately, I only like men.
Well,
I mean, but people can have their fantasies if they want to start talking about us, like Tommy and Reese could talk about.
Share it. There's no real good ship name between us.
No.
Jenner?
Jenin?
Yeah. See, it's just not a good.
Jennifer?
See, but that's too close to, Benifer or whatever. And it's like, I don't.
Yeah, you know what? I just watched her documentary and I'm okay with them.
Yes,
I'm okay
Janet,
with
please
them.
do. Email me at my, email me at surviving together SASS at Gmail, or kgrad94 at Gmail is my other one. And that's my just main one that I use. So K grad, because I graduated from K College in 1994. So K grad 94. So either one will get to me.
And I'm officially late. So Sarah Jen. Wait a minute. That just sounds like everybody's going to share me. I'm not a hot potato anymore. Okay. I'm not Josie Grossi anymore.
No, friends. Sharing you as a friend.
Okay.
Sharing your personality. Go,
right,
go.
I gotta make an appearance on my live.
Go. I told you you're hard to get rid of. Go.
Would you bug off? I love you. Bye.
All right. We will see you all later.
Yep. Everyone have a great one. If you want to head over to my channel, I will be there any second.
Please we survived together, never alone. Remember, I see you, I hear you, I believe you. You are valuable, you are worthy, and you are loved. Everyone. So bye for now.
Bye for
Guys.
now.